Okay, I am back. I am back. And let's get that background music going. I started streaming yesterday at 11 a.m. It is now 10:36 in the morning. So it's been not quite 24 hours since I started. And yesterday we went for 9.5 hours. And I, I sabotaged my sleep greatly. Those of you who are on the stream know I was doing something a little interesting. We'll talk about that. That is definitely an update I want to share with you because I think something important did happen. And I had things I learned, I had things I did. I definitely want to share that. Today's focus will be an update on that. We might do a little bit more of what I did yesterday, but I will not go 9 hours. That was probably not fun for people to watch. Though it was fun to chat for 9 hours. Today we will focus on more just Q&A, office hours, what people want to answer, or what answers people need in their questions. We'll look at Reddit, we'll take any questions and chat, etc. But I will update people on what exactly happened. So yesterday, I really can't trace how we got this idea in our heads. We said we would start vibe coding a drawing application. Hi, hey, good to see you. So that went on for, of the 9 hours, I think it was 9.5. I think we went on for 8 hours of vibe coding. And I'm sure some of you, I hope some of you enjoyed the Star Trek discussion. Because sometimes it's kind of boring to just see vibe coding in action. You're just waiting for something to happen. So I'm not going to torture people. I will do a demo of what I built. And after the live stream ended yesterday, I stopped vibe coding, got my dinner, and I decided to I got a little bit of sleep, but went back to vibe coding early in the morning. So I think what you're about to see represents 12 hours of vibe coding, okay, with Claude. Hi, Philip. Good to see you. So, without boring you with details about how I did things, let me just show you what I have. And hi, Mad Max. Good to see you. And there's other topics I want to talk about. I want to talk about tracing. And this was prompted by someone posted on the Drawing Tablet subreddit an app. And I shared that link with the Discord, and I think they had two levels of feedback. One was the app itself and the nature of how it works. And number two is tracing. I want to talk about that and share maybe a little bit of personal experience. And most importantly, I want to get your input. And then we'll do some Q&A, because there's not much tablet news, so we'll have to find things that might be interesting for people to talk about. Usually people pop in here when they need, they're about to buy something. Okay, so let's just get right to it. Let me show you what I think not quite 12 hours, but let's just say 12 hours of vibe coding built, okay? And just to refresh everybody, we built a Mac OS native drawing app last night. And I'm just gonna demo it for you. I'm not, and we have questions about how it works. Happy to answer that. But the key point is to let you know what is possible in 12 hours, okay? That's it. That's all. That's really the focus of this section of the stream. So let me get over to, okay, now you're seeing code, but that's not the interesting part. Let me launch the app, which right now has the name of Inkwell. Oops, I launched the app store, not the app. Okay, so the app is actually just here. It's called Inkwell, as you can see. And I have an Intuos Pro 2025 large hooked up. Here's the app. And let me make sure I can see the app. Yeah, you can see the app, I can see the app. Here it is, okay? And I'm gonna do a quick demo of the features, okay? So first of all, it has a left pane and the right pane. I know I'm just telling you obvious things. And it has collapsible palettes or panels, right? Okay, what do we have? We have layers, we have brush settings, and there's stuff that's not obvious. It's color palette and tools, okay? Let's just show you the. Oh, Rain, what do you think of the Cintiq 24 Pro? Really good deals on that now, the old. Look, the drawing experience is fantastic. It's the best drawing experience you can have. I think this. I think the screen is probably fine. Some people, I haven't used it. That's the one problem. I think many people are happy. I think the things that I would wonder are the fan noise. Some people complain about that, and some people don't. Right? I gotta learn how to pronounce this. Is it Kainin? You gotta tell me. Kainin. Okay, tell me how to pronounce it. Tracing has its value. For instance, I did a lot of tracing for hand draw and cell animation, or transferring drawings to different papers for painting or inking. Okay, yeah. I think tracing is a very valuable exercise and thing that obviously many people start. I did. The first things I did was trace something. You know, I saw a comic book. It was an Iron Man cover. I traced it. I will say this. Very quickly, I realized that I think it helped me become slightly more confident with my lines. It also made me realize I couldn't do anything without tracing. This is many years ago. Obviously, I developed my drawing skills since then. But I think I knew for a while I was in a rut. I was a little kid, you know. I forgot. I was probably like 12 or something. But I think starting out, there's some value in doing something like tracing, just for becoming comfortable with the tools, right? It does require some effort. It does require some knowledge, some skill to do it. It's not a valueless, skillless thing. So I think it has its role. I think some people are very anti-tracing. I think quinina. Okay. I was thinking kainin. I was thinking kainin ha. Quinina. Okay. I don't know. I saw the Y, and I thought, like, for some reason my head went like not ki but kai, or not ki but kai. Okay, let's get back to the app demo. We'll talk about tracing. So we have a G pen, okay, and I'm gonna just draw for a second. Okay, it's a pretty smooth drawing. We have a marker pen, and of course I'll just start exercising the button. Oh, sorry, the slide. Right, pretty responsive, by the way. You saw me zoom in. That was accidental, but I do have zoom. This is, what is this? This is the airbrush. Now they don't look very different because I don't think I've really optimized some of these things, but we'll get there. There's the eraser, okay, and we have selections. You can probably see the marching ants very slightly. It's a Brazilian Portuguese diminutive nickname that my friend. Okay. I'll try to remember. I will definitely remember that. So selections work. Rain says tracing can be fine if you are studying a particular body part of anatomy. If you have photos side by side, sometimes tracing can be used to show what you are missing easily. Yeah, I mean, there's a role for tracing. Some people are very anti-tracing. I'm like, it's part of the journey. That's what I'd say. It's part of the journey. It's not the end of the journey. And in some cases, it's a tool, right? I think there are cases where you just need to transfer an image. Like you may even be the original artist, and you have to trace your own art to get it somewhere else, right? So it is a tool and it's a technique, but it's part of the journey for a lot of people. I think we should be okay with that. I think it's incorrect to just say wholesale that tracing is not good. Okay, so that's selections. And by the way, you can undo selections. Actually, let me just show this to you. If I do multiple selections, right? There's one. If I hit undo, you'll see very slightly the selections come back. And of course, a full undo stack is there. So undo is there. We have lasso selection. We can clear the selection. There's a hand thing. I just implemented this, or Claude did, to move the layer itself, okay? And actually, I don't know what's going to happen if I draw off, like, if I draw on this side of the layer, what will happen? Like, is the layer bigger than the canvas size? It is, actually. Oh no, I don't like this behavior in apps. I don't like this. I think the layer should be growable. Okay, so let me just write that down. That's actually, what does Mac use for text? Is there text edit? Is that what it is? Okay. Let me write this down. Where's that text thing? I don't even know where the heck it went. Okay, file, new. Layers shouldn't crop when moved out of the canvas. Now then we have to manage the layer size. Okay? Mad Max. I don't, oh yeah, you did, okay. So I guess you may not have been here when we did it yesterday. This app is called Inkwell. And Kinina and others, we made it yesterday. We vibe coded it using Claude AI, Claude Code, yesterday. So this app didn't exist at 12 noon yesterday. It started existing at about 12:30 in the afternoon yesterday, and I've been working on it for about, I'd say, 10 hours. Okay? And the idea was, I guess the meta idea was, we as creative people, can we just build the apps we want? And I didn't know how far I'd get. Right? A drawing app that can make full use of your PC, fully customizable, no subscription incoming. I will release this probably on the Apple Store, but it'll be free because, I don't want to overpromise what it does. But I think it's important that we're able to build our own bespoke tools. That's important. We can build what we want now. You don't like what an app does, you can build your own. And this is the proof. If you're wondering what the cost of this, I'm not saying it was cheap. My Claude subscription is $100 per month, but let me tell you, this is just one of many things I've done this month. Okay, so this is not like I spent literally 12 hours on this, and I have a drawing app, which I promise you will find more sophisticated than you might expect. Okay, it is, while it's missing tons of features, it is not like a baby app. Okay, so, okay, next, it has a color wheel. And I just told it, sorry, I was back on that tool. You can see the color changes here, right, on the upper right. So I can change the color, and the color obviously reflects. Okay? Next thing, I'm going to, it has this orange thing's a debug window, just so I can track down some interesting, and what it reveals to you is that I'm getting 300 points per second from the tablet. Yeah, someone took the name already in the Apple Store for iOS. So I'm going to have to. Well, the reason for that, though, Mad Max. But rest assured, we'll talk about Windows soon. The reason for that is I am streaming from a Mac machine. Okay, number one. Number two, I plan to get a more powerful Mac machine, so I just thought, let me do it. Number three, I don't know anything about Mac OS, so I thought now is a chance to learn a little bit about it. Number four, I wanted an app that took advantage of the hardware, okay? That took advantage of the way Apple did things. Apps like Clip Studio Paint and Krita run on macOS and Windows. It's less clear to me how much they take advantage of what those systems can do. And obviously their UI is kind of, it's their own thing. It's not very tightly integrated in the way Mac apps look, right? So I want to do something more Mac native. Now, as to the Windows issue, my plan is this. This is actually another AI test. I'm going to build this app up. And as I build the app, let me show you, I am asking Claude to describe the architecture and write design docs. These are specs, right? I know this may look like gobbledygook, but the point is, I am going to rerun this experiment. Okay, once I get this app further, I'm going to rerun this. I'm going to ask Claude to summarize what we've learned and then predict a plan to create a Windows version that is Windows specific, that does Windows things, okay? And then we're gonna build a Windows app, okay? That's just geared for Windows, which is what I know more. So don't worry, we will get to a Windows app. One app I really want to do, it's not a drawing app, I want to do a tablet tester app so that people can like debug issues with their tablets, because it is a bit difficult to debug issues sometimes. Okay, let me close Visual Studio. Okay, more features. So I'm going to make the brush a bit bigger. So with the... Yes, I'm going to show vectors in just a second. I got further on vectors. So I can change the hardness of, I'm going to make it very soft toward the edge. You can see it's a softer edge, right? Now the brushes look too samey, okay? So I got to fix that. And actually, I'm going to put one more note, which is add control anti-aliasing levels for brushes. I use it a lot. I do a lot of pixel art. I do a lot of memes, so I don't want to see anti-aliased edges. I want the hard edges, right? Opacity. It doesn't work the way I would like, but you understand the opacity is there. Now, how opacity should work is, watch this. Let me turn off pressure to opacity mapping. Okay. Yeah. Okay. What you want with opacity? Let me make the opacity even less. Is that when I go over the stroke multiple times, it doesn't get darker. Sorry, with one stroke. So let me go over them. Let me intersect. You don't want that. Let me show you what happens here with Clip Studio. Okay, let me get my tool, which is I'll get the G pen or something. Okay, and let me go on the normal layer. Let's turn down opacity. I think this is the way. Where's the subtool details? View. Tool properties. That's what it's called now. Opacity. Now watch what happens. When I intersect, it doesn't. Actually, it does. Sorry, those are two separate strokes. I'm talking about same stroke intersection. It doesn't make it any more opaque. You see what I'm saying? I can just scribble one stroke. Two strokes will do this. So that's what I want here. So let's go back to the app and let me change the hardness to 100%. So it's a bit easier for us to have the equivalent thing. You see? When you scribble, I don't want it to get darker and darker. I want to do what Clip Studio Paint does. So that's a tweak. Otherwise, if you're just doing this, you'll end up with, sometimes you want this. You kind of want different modes. I'm going to add that opacity rendering. Opacity rendering like Clip Studio Paint. Maybe controllable. Some people like the other way. Okay. We also have these other things. I don't have pressure curves yet, but these two sliders, pressure to size, sort of control them a little bit. I'm going to add real pressure curves with the UI and everything. Now, let's go ahead and erase this, and let me show you. You can add layers. I have a special background layer, okay? So it's just a color. This is useful when you're drawing and you want to waste a layer on a fill. Okay, oops, I did that. My mistake. Let's try this again. There we go, right? That is called flow, not opacity. When opacity is building. Okay, let me note that, Nick. Thank you. Nick, that is called flow, not opacity. Okay. So this is a background layer. It's meant to be the equivalent of Clip Studio Paint's paper layer, right? So it's just a color that will always be as big as the canvas, okay? And I'm using mouse wheel click and zoom. If I hold down the space key, I get the hand, I can move the document, so there's a little bit of that going on. But now let's get to the magic. Let me do undo. So undo does not uncreate layers. So that is something I'm gonna have to talk to Claude about. I'm gonna have to add that to the undo stack. Let me open up TextEdit. Undo stack should include layer creation and ordering. Okay, now let me just delete this layer by hitting delete. Okay, and let me clear this layer. Now we get to the magic, my friends. I'm gonna pick dark gray for the stroke. So, watch this. This is a normal stroke, okay? I'm gonna turn up the opacity so the comparison will be more accurate. Okay, this is a normal G Pen stroke. Is it Photoshop Killer almost ready, Nick? It's a lot of fun. Look, for 10 hours of talking to Claude, I think it's a lot. Okay, it is a lot. And we, in fact, yesterday added vector layers. Now, I'm gonna draw another stroke. Okay, now notice, oops, look at that. Now, why do you see these little dots? Those are the actual vector things. Okay? So let me just draw, now notice this stroke self-intersects, okay? What does that mean? Guess what? The eraser, we have vector erasers. So I can erase the whole stroke. You saw that. Control Z. I can erase the touched region. Yikes. Now it doesn't do it perfectly, okay? Like, I think some of you would probably expect, hey, this end should not end rounded. It should actually end in a different way. But that's okay. Like, we're getting there, right? Right? Is Vectorial an app? Or are you talking about just the nature of it? We see a little bit of tile weirdness there, so I'm gonna have to talk to Claude about that. And then we have edit intersection. This is where the magic is. Watch this. Right? You can just chop off the things to the first intersection, and I think it applies to all vector strokes. Okay? Actually, I will verify that in a second. Let me erase and let me hide the original layer here. These are multiple vector strokes, right? I mean the future. Well, I think it has to have both. I think I use vectors a lot, so I wanted to use it. Now let me do the erasing, and then watch this. You can get rid of these little, right? Now sometimes it doesn't correct. You know, they're not correctly joined the lines, so you can erase more than you intended to. But you get the idea, right? Same thing happens in Clip, right? Clip, what it does. I don't have node editing yet. Let me add that as a node editing. What Clip does is when you erase this way, it actually joins this thing, and I'll show it to you. So people aren't, they're not like, what's going on here? Okay, so let me draw a stroke here. That is a vector stroke. I drew it with the mouse. That's why it looks so ugly. Okay, and then just to prove it is a show vector paths on all vector layers. Okay. Oops, I drew on non-vector layers. Let's try vector layer. There's self-selecting. Okay, now you see the nodes, right? Just like I have nodes. Now what happens when you erase? Watch carefully when I use the vector eraser, or just the eraser. Let me hold down the E key. Did he do it? I thought that did it. Why am I not erasing here? Why is it not erasing? Let me try. There we go. Okay, look what it, okay, let me do that again. I want you to see that. Watch this intersection right here. Okay? I'm gonna erase this upper left hand. Right? And then let go. You see what happened? So what Clip to Paint does, now I don't actually understand fully the reason why some of this happens. It does connect this line super close, okay? Where you might just think it's touching, okay? But it does something I don't understand why it doesn't, which you can see it just shifts the path. Hi, Cola Addiction. Good to see you. Good to see you. I don't know why it does this. I'm you second. I'm you second. So, second viewer. Second viewer. Okay, got it. I was like, I'm you second. So we got to figure that out. There may be a reason for this. Nick has a comment. In Illustrator, you need paid astute plugin to freehand vector strokes like that. Wait, I can't tell if Nick is joking or not. With his sense of humor, sometimes it's hard to tell. Is there a plugin that people actually use to draw freehand vector strokes in Illustrator? Thanks for joining us, Cola Addiction. So yeah, we have vector layers in this app that took 10 hours to build. Which I've lost now. Where's that app? There we go. We're back here in the app. Okay. Feel free to joke. Quinina. I gotta remember quinina. Feel free. But yeah, look, and it has its own file format, right? It doesn't fully export PSD. It does pieces. It just exports as one layer in PSD. But I'm gonna build this up. Now, is my goal to replace my own usage of Clip Studio Paint? I will definitely try to create some art with this, because that's the only way you can test these things, right? I will release it so you can run it on Mac OS, and I think I'm gonna sign up for an Apple developer account, which will allow me to put it on the store. I'll put it on for free, right? Because look, let me be honest with you. I'm not going to sell this app, and I'm not really intending to become a developer of a drawing app. This is more of a how far can we go? Okay, how far we can go. Hopefully, we can learn from this, and I think, hopefully it'll raise the bar for what people expect out of AI, and raise the bar for what we expect out of apps. Because now we can basically do anything. We can build what we want. If there's a feature, if I don't like the way Clip Studio Paint, like it does that intersection, I can tell it that and say, hey, let's think of an option. Or if I I would like vector strokes not to be polylines, but to be like real vector skeletons, right? That have like an enclosed shape. We could do that if we want to, right? It's all possible. And it's possible because these LLMs have absorbed so much code. And a lot of this stuff is not new. It's all just documented stuff, right? Tell me now, mortal. So we can tell this thing to do whatever. And it's within our power to build the experiences we want, okay? So some things that, I'm just brainstorming here, some things that might be useful for you. Maybe you need to do some batch conversion. And what you need to do is a little bit more sophisticated than what some apps you have do. You can just make your own. You can just make the exact thing you need to do. It doesn't even have to be useful in a month from now. You can just do the task you need it to do today, okay? If you want to try, what would a brush feel like now, it takes a lot of work to build up the framework for the app, okay? But once you do, you can use this as a platform for trying ideas with brushes, trying ideas with UI. Your family is in danger. I think it might be. Let's see. From Big Pixel. I like the vector functionality in TSP for inking drawings, but it doesn't have enough true vector utility. Whereas Affinity has great vector utility, but has pass. Yeah, this is like an interesting division we see. CSP is not trying to be a vector app. It's just trying to give you I would characterize it like this. CSP is trying to give you the advantages that vector paths give you, but you're just drawing like normal. It's really not meant for being like, oh, let me draw a rectangle here and cut out this. That's really not its thing. It could be one day. But it's really like, okay, I'm just using vectors as another way of drawing strokes. I'm speaking for them. I don't know how they think, but this is my Cola Addiction. Yeah, I am making a drawing app. Yes. So this was all done with Claude Code over 10 hours. I did not write one line of code here. And I like to say we made the drawing app because we actually, in chat, we actually just asked people what they wanted to see and they told me, and then we just had Claude build it, right? And this is I would say this is probably a pretty high performance app. Now there's lots of things that are missing, like file new just creates exactly one size document, 2048 by 1536. Why it picked that size, I don't know. But we could actually, you know what? Just being a little devious here. While I'm chatting, so what's good, I don't know if it's Mac OS or not, but one good thing I discovered is it can be creating the next version while I'm running the app. Okay, so I'm gonna add that feature. Add a file new dialog to let me create documents of different sizes. New documents with custom sizes. Offer standard, oops, my ears fell out. Offer standard sizes for convenience. Size templates for convenience. Okay. I just typed, I know you can't see what I typed in, but usually I was actually talking to it. But yeah, a little bit, we'll build it up, we'll see. I will try to do some actual art with it. The file format's a bit tricky because I don't know if it's even possible for me to, I don't know if I could, for example, export it to Clip Studio Paint, right? I don't think that format is documented. Actually, I can ask another AI, like Gemini. Is the Clip Studio Paint file format documented? And we'll see what it says. It's proprietary and not publicly documented. But it's giving me some interesting information here, by the way. The underlying database, well, here's what they know. This is what they say. You can't trust AI all the time, but the underlying database is essentially a SQLite database container. What I think essentially is doing a lot of weight here. The daemon is waiting for me. Yeah. If you change the file extension, oh, interesting. If you change it to SQLite, you can open it. Interesting. Data compression and chunks, compression, tiling. Okay, interesting. Because Clip Studio Paint does not provide a specification, developers or other art software have had to reverse engineer the format. Okay, so it's possible. Oh, look at this, Photopea, or I know some people say Photopea, that's what we discovered yesterday. But the author of Photopea says Photopea. Have some web-based and open source editors have limited support for reading clip files by parsing SQLite tables. Interesting. It does support PSD, but it doesn't support all of the features. So there's lots of like little things it doesn't support yet. Basically, when I export PSD, it will save one layer. So there's some real work actually to do CSP. PSD. So interesting. We'll have, you know what? At the very least, I would like to point a Claude at these other implementations, these open source, just to see what we can learn, right? What we can learn from Clip Studio Paint. Maybe there's something that might be an advantage to us. Okay. That random man you killed is coming back. Didn't kill anyone lately. Cola Addiction YouTube. Okay. So yeah, this is okay. So before I go off, because I don't want to spend the entire time vibe coding unless you want to, because it's kind of boring to watch, to be honest. I recognize that. I'm going to ask just a few questions. What are the kind of features I should do next? So I'm going to look at just chat and see what people are saying. So I am putting down PSD import export as one of my next big tasks. I've noted that down. Right. Fix intersection with vector lines, right? Oh, flood fill I need, flood fill. When you were a baby, you killed the, coal addiction. I don't know where these comments are coming from. Fix intersection with vector lines. PSD export, Kinina said that. You were engrossed at least, well, that's good to hear. That's good to hear. Because it wasn't, add murder. Add murder. I think we're going to avoid murder for now. We're going to avoid, I think that maybe that'll be a V3 feature. Fix intersection of vector lines. PSD export. I think that is important. It's sad that we really don't have a standard. The feds will come for me. Listen, I know you're joking, but the feds will come for me. Again, I have no illusions that the feds will not come for me one day. I am sure that will happen. Okay? Let's not pretend otherwise. Okay. What else? Oh, I needed to add real pressure curves. Oh, smoothing. I need smoothing. Pressure smoothing. And so stabilization features, basically. I want, what's the other feature? Pressure smoothing and position smoothing. I'd like to be a Fed. Seriously, I would love to work for the federal government. I mean, I don't know, as like an agent. Not like a CIA agent, more like a FBI agent. I would think it'd be really interesting. Well, Cole, everyone does, since I mentioned that I live in Seattle all the time. And in Redmond. Stabilization, you have 2 business days. Stabilization. So I'm gonna add that. Oh, did I capture flood fill? I think I said it, but I didn't write it down. Okay, Claude was probably working on what I asked it. Well, it's still working on it. The new file new menu. Yeah, let's just take a quick look at Clip Studio Paint and see what other things I want to pull in. Okay. Where's Clip? I do think I need what do you call it? I think I need what Clip calls subtools. So Eraser has different variants. I think I need brush. I'm going to call them brush variants or something. I don't know how to call. I have to think about this. Brush variants. Oh, so I'm typing it in the wrong place. Sorry. Brush variants. What Clip calls what do they call it? Subtools? Yes, we do have lasso. Well, we have lasso. I can add a flood fill. Oh, I do. I need able to fill the selection. Brush skins. Interesting. That's actually interesting. What does Clip call it? Subtools. There's also user-created subtools. That's powerful. Okay. Let's just take a quick look. What else we got here? Oh, resizing canvas. We got to have that. Resizing canvas. That's a great idea, Kinina. Let me write that down. Stabilization. to lasso selection. That's a good one because lasso selection is just so uncontrollable sometimes, right? We probably also want to add remove selection. That's actually a very useful tool. What else do we have? I don't use it that often. What else? We got. Can I lock layers? I think that is important. I need to lock layers. Lock layers and layer groups. We do have layer groups. I forgot if I told you that, and blend modes. I'm not sure what layer properties like border effect and halftone and these other things. I think I'll leave those for another day, or V3 or something. Lock layer, okay. Clear page. What's the difference, Kinina, between clear page layer and just clearing the document? So I have, yeah, I could clarify exactly what it's clearing. That would help me. Alpha lock, there we go. That's actually super important for me as well. Alpha lock, okay. Liquify's in the list already, but I'm gonna write it back in. Do you use do people use Liquify a lot? My art doesn't require it. Tell me, when did you kill that man? It was February 15th, 1957. Call addiction. Let's see. What else is interesting here? Oh, reference layers. Reference layers. That's critical to my work. Oh, the difference is I'm typing on my phone and bots the sentence. Okay. But now that you mentioned lasso fill, it made me realize there are tools when there are selections, but I don't know what. There's a toolbar here. There's invert selection. That's important for me. There's grow shrink selection. You know, it's apps like this are like in for a penny, in for a pound. Like you have one feature, you realize, oh, suddenly you need 50 other features to make that feature useful, right? On top of that, there are many expectations people have. We have layer grouping. Let me show it to you. I said it, but I didn't show it. Give me a second. Okay, let me turn off the... Okay, so let me just... I have the... Sorry. Let me just draw some bad lines here. Okay, that's on layer 1. Let me add another, oops. Oh, I have duplicate. I didn't even know I had that. I'll erase that. Actually, where did I draw this? Layer 1. Why am I not selecting color? There we go, layer 2. Okay, so you see the two layers. Now I can create a group and move layer 1 in. By the way, Claude did all this. I didn't specify this, right? And I can do things like hide them both or change their total opacity, right? And the group itself has a blending mode, though it's not obvious here. Let me add a new layer. And actually, let me bring this up here. Let me move this layer below. Whoops, below. This is a little bit tricky here. There we go. Layer 2 is on the same layer, it's a peer of group 1. So let's draw something here in green. It's underneath. And do we have blend modes? Okay, it looks like blend mode on the entire group isn't there, but obviously we do have blend modes on the actual layers. So as you can see, we have gone quite a way from where we started. And Kininya was here. I don't know if anyone else was when we started. I think we talked to Claude for about an hour, maybe 45 minutes, and then it started coding. And I think so basically every half hour it dropped some code for us. And every half hour this application got way more useful. Way more useful. And then after the stream, I said, hey, let's just add vector layers. Vector layers, I don't know what it was, but it knew exactly what to do. I thought I was going to have to describe what I wanted. Nope. I said I want vector layers, smudge blending, writing that down, smudge blending. I thought I was going to really I just said I want vector layers. And it said, okay, well, if you want vector layers, there's 3 ways we can do them. I'm just going to say them out loud. It said, option A, we can have polylines, or we can have vector skeletons of shapes. Which one do you want? I said polylines. And it's like, okay, got it. And then I said, I like the way Clip Studio Paint has its vector eraser. I go, I want a vector eraser. And it gave me one that just erased the entire stroke. And then I said, okay, I want one that erases just the path and then the intersection. And it's like, okay, I'll just add that too. I got everything you see in vector layers in about 40 minutes. That's it. I only had 2 conversations with Claude, right? I like the way Clip Studio Paint does things. I do like the way Clip Studio Paint does things. So I don't want to copy it, but I want to take the things I like and optimize for what I think I need. I don't need everything, right? I'm just looking here at anything else. I'm not going to do animation. That just would make this app totally bloated. I will add adjustment layers. Let me write that down in case I missed it earlier. I don't use them very often, but I know some people love them. Filter. I probably do need a blur filter. But let's see. No cola addiction. I'm not telling you. It's a secret. Okay, let's see where Claude is. It said something went wrong. That's funny. Okay. Send your message again. Okay, sure. So all that time it was thinking, and it's oh, something went wrong. Okay, we're just gonna try again. Anyway, yeah, I'm taking down these notes. I'm just gonna one by one just keep on adding features, right? And we will just get better and better at this. And text layers. I do need text layers. No, this should be version 5.0. This should be version 5.0. Let's double check though. Oh, it's 4.0. My mistake. Let's upgrade. I don't know why I thought it's 5.0. That's weird. Clip. Oh, I may have had a perpetual. Let's just see what the licensing is. Hang on. I'm not going to do a dance. I have done a dance on camera, but I'm not going to do a dance today. Yeah, I would agree with you, Kininya. I like Clip a lot, and there's all these 3D features, which are great. I just don't use them. And so when I keep on seeing all these 3D features, I'm like, okay, it doesn't really help me, right? Now, that being said, what it does have is everything I need for my art. So I'm not really disturbed by that. Roblox. I've heard of Roblox. I don't know what it does though. I don't really know. And it's no kids play it or something. Yeah. So Clip is good, but I think I need less than what Clip does, and that's almost like what I'm targeting what I need. The other thing I think of when I make this app is, okay, here's what I discovered. Let me just say this. The app is complex. There's lots of pieces you would never think about normally as a user that have to be solved. About memory management, about all sorts of weird little issues that are just really under the covers if you're not an artist. If you're an artist, okay? They're like deep issues, but as a normal person, you have no relation to them. If you want to build an app to try, I have an idea for a brush, you have to solve a bunch of those issues. Even if all your app does is like, it lets you draw a single stroke and you want to try a different effect, you have to solve a bunch of these problems, even though all you want to do is one thing. So what I'm hoping to do additionally out of this project is build enough of a shared experience or library so that when I want to do an experiment that's focused on just, I don't know, some kind of special brush, I can just use the same framework to build a test app for that, okay? To this day, Clip Studio Paint has the worst latency as a drawing app on my M1 MacBook Pro. Someone from Discord said it was because they use a single core or something. Well, yeah, I think the issue, I think there's two issues. Let me clarify. And there could be multiple, but let me give you my background. So, I believe there are two factors that are probably slowing down Clip Studio Paint, just in general. Number one, their code, when the phrase single core is used, what's that saying is the tasks it's doing are not it's not parallelizing its tasks, okay? So let's just give a great example about this. If I draw the stroke, you can do this with single core pretty fast because it's just slapping down bits into memory, so to speak, okay? When you deal with big brushes, lots of things have to get written to memory. So theoretically, that task is parallelizable. It is parallelizable here because the way memory is segmented in this app, it's called tiled memory. Now, it is much more complicated to build something that runs in parallel than single. So that's one issue going on. And all apps, and rewriting something to be parallelizable is like really difficult. It's not like, hey, let's just fix the code. It's like you have to re-architect things. It's a re-architecture. It's not easy. Okay? What were you thinking, Cola Addiction? You were thinking what? Which song from The Doors? Midnight Ride? That's one of my favorite ones, actually. Of course, I can't play any of this music on YouTube because it'll flag me immediately. The second thing I think would be helpful for Clip Studio Paint is probably maybe explore GPU rendering. Okay? Because that might speed up quite a bit. Now, there is... Actually, if I can get this thing... Is it done? It might be done now. I think it's done. Okay, it's done. Let's try it out. We added a new feature. Let's find, where's my code here? File new. No, that's not what I wanted. Let me try this again. Delete. There we go. Okay. So a little primitive for what I wanted, but let's create a big document. 4K. And let's try a big brush I know 4K is not big for some of you. I know 4K is kind of small. Let's set the brush size as big as we can get. Okay, it's drawing fine. Oh, look at this. It's actually drawing off the canvas too. So there's a little bit of an issue there. There's a little bit of a bug. Okay, let's make the canvas bigger. Let's just see what happens. Can I make the canvas bigger? Let's just create a new document. How's that? Let's close this. Yeah. Oops, I closed Hey, thanks for joining. Yeah, all is well. Thanks for joining us. Let's see, file new. Yes, we are vibe coding a drawing app. That is absolutely correct. It's only been 11 hours of vibe coding. I did 10 hours last night. I'm gonna try to make a big document, okay? We don't know what's gonna happen. I'm gonna try to do 8K by 8K. We don't know. This is 64 gigabyte M1 Max Studio. I think that's what it is, okay? So not the biggest and most powerful machine in existence. Okay, this is 8K, so 8,000 by 8,000. What happens? Yeah, Kininya, yeah, it doesn't utilize the GPU. I'm fairly certain it doesn't. So this app has it's a really small brush. So this is not a big brush, but it's 8K document. Doesn't seem like it's slowing down much. Right? Do I notice anything else? Not really. It's kind of doing a pretty good job as an 8K document, by the way. Like we can zoom in to, we can zoom into the pixels, right? But it's interesting, yeah. I'm gonna have it make much bigger brushes. But for like my art, I don't need big brushes, but I know sometimes for airbrushes, let's find the airbrush. It's got bad icons for things too. Airbrushes you gotta have big. You can't have small baby airbrushes, right? Let's do that. Let's share the airbrush size to, for airbrushes, for airbrush, the max size should be, I know some people want much larger, but I'm just gonna say 1,000, okay? Let's see if it understands what I'm saying. Okay, we'll do just this one additional change, and then we'll move on to a different topic because again, vibe coding is fun. But I don't want to always, I'm not trying to turn this channel into a vibe coding channel. This is about digital art and drawing tablets and things like that. The one thing I noticed was these edges get anti-aliased when I'm zoomed out, but when I'm zoomed in, I don't think they do. Oh no, they do. I have hardness set to, let's do it like this. You got to test things out with these apps sometimes, right? You got to try and see if you notice any weird effects. So let's zoom in. Does the edge, stroke of the edge, or the edge of the stroke look any different? No, looks fine. I could probably complain that I would like this edge to be a bit smoother, but I'm not sure where the unsmoothness is coming from. James chasing sunrises. If CSP did utilize GPU, it wouldn't even be a big hit on the computer. I think you're right. Here's the deal. And this is something I noticed, 20 years ago. You ever watch the movie Hackers with Angelina Jolie? And they would show you log into the computer with all these their login screens were on fire and things. And I noticed at that time, I was playing games like Homeworld and things, and they have a million things moving on screen, and all these effects are going on. And meanwhile, PowerPoint decks look as 20 years later, PowerPoint decks look as bad as ever. And you can see now Web GPU and Web GL demos, which are like not straining your computer at all. And I'm thinking to myself, a modern PC, even if you're getting the GPU involved in doing something, it is not straining one bit. When you compare it to playing, when you're playing a real game like Crysis or something, that's an old game. Let's talk about a new game like, what's a new game that's I don't know, Red Dead Redemption 2. That's serious. But adding, filling a bunch of like triangles in a drawing in an 8x8 bitmap, that's nothing. That is like baby stuff. And I would think that it's not going to strain the GPU one bit at all. Yesterday, now speaking of this kind of straining GPUs, I do believe we're in a situation now where some people are, because of AI partially, but also because of RAM prices, some more people are considering moving to Mac OS than Windows, right? Windows seems to have fallen out of favor with some people. They turn on the light a little bit more. And I am thinking that I will try to live more in Mac OS for a while. Ohamka, do you like the way Wacom redesigned the Intuos tablets? Personally, I dislike having all those buttons on. Well, I will say, let's get now off the vibe coding and we'll get into actually the topics of drawing tablets, okay? Let me bring up my documents here because I like to have a visual reference when we do these topics. I wrote very extensively about these tablets, and let's just take a look so everyone understands the basic issue here, right? So the buttons are on the left on the previous generation, the buttons are on top. So the stated reason that Wacom moved them to the top is that they were accidentally hitting the buttons on the left. And so it's a valid thing to talk about moving the buttons to the top. I don't think it made a difference. First of all, I hit them accidentally just as often. So that didn't change things. It was just a wash. I would honestly say I don't like the buttons at the top, right? Even though I don't normally use the buttons, I definitely prefer them on the left, right? And I don't think they're going to go back on this decision. Like, I don't think the Intuos Pro 2030, actually, let me back up. When they release the next Intuos Pro, will be like 8 years from 2025. So we have 7 years to go, I bet. So we're going to be at, what is it? It's 2026 now. So like 2030 something, right? 2032, let's say. That is going to be, I don't know. I think they're going to stick with the buttons on the top. I hope they don't, but I think they're going to stick with it. I don't hate them. I think they occupy space I don't need them to occupy because they just keep my tablet further from the keyboard, right? So there's just more space. But yeah, I think people are mixed in their what they like. Kinina says, I used to use PowerPoint for all kinds of things. I used to make a scale layout apartment. Yeah, but I use PowerPoint for mocking up UI. In Microsoft, we use PowerPoint for all sorts of things that weren't slides. Correct, yes. Linux would also be, I think people are considering moving to. I'm considering installing CachyOS. I did it before, but I just used it for about a week. Now, Aquareg, you're right. You actually hit an interesting point. There really is very little to improve. I can't name the thing to improve. There's nothing. They cannot make it any more lag-free. Hi, Eddie. Good to see you. Good to see you. I always see you comments on the videos. I don't know if you, Eddie, I vibe coded yesterday on stream and we built a drawing app. So if you want me to bring it up for a minute, let me know. I'm happy to show it to people who just joined the chat. Yeah, so I don't know what happens with Wacom. Because they make tablets, and the tablets, they're at the peak of tablets. They're as good as they'll probably ever get. Huion has a little bit of way to go. XP Pen has a little bit more way to go. But pretty soon, every tablet will be great. Are you prepared for that? How will we pick tablets when they're all great? We're going to have to look at... Actually, that's a good exercise to think about. Let me... No doors are happening, Call Addiction. Okay, so let's talk about... what was I going to say? How will we pick tablets when they're all great? Pen tablets, gonna be real difficult. It's going to be phenomenally difficult. You're gonna obviously value reliability because since they're all great, you'll get the one that lasts the longest, okay? Marketing, of course, is gonna be a big deal. I think you're gonna be looking for tablets you don't wanna replace, meaning, so Wacom and 2os Pros have a texture sheet that's replaceable, right? So if you do scratch them up, you can always just get a new texture sheet. I think that might be. Samsung will find a way to make theirs worse. Yeah, probably. They'll never improve it. They'll never this is the thing we see a lot in some tech. They'll just think, rightly or wrongly, that what they've got is good enough, and the customers don't care. And then we'll never see Samsung get a better pen, right? Because they don't even know what a better pen is. They think the S Pen's the best pen. Right? Yeah, they probably know Wacom has a better pen for artists. They don't care. They're just like, a normal person doesn't need a pen like that. Kinina says, I'm disappointed with the new Intuos design. I had buttons on top of my old Intuos 3 and they were annoying. Yeah, I never really was a button user, to be honest. Another thing I think could be important. Okay, I mean, we're just brainstorming, like, how would you pick tablets? Pen tablets, hard. Maybe tablets that have two pens, that come with two pens, right? Or tablets that have more features, like barrel rotation, right? The patent for barrel rotation, I think, is expired, so everyone should be adding barrel rotation, right? Brand loyalty is going to be a huge factor. Yes, James, Chasing Sunrises, absolutely. Look, there are people who will just not buy. They just will not buy anything that's non-Wacom. That's just the way it is. I totally understand that, right? Wacom gives, when you talk about 2os Pro especially, you know what you're getting. You know you're getting the best drawing experience. There's no doubt about that, right? I don't even debate that you're getting the best drawing experience with Wacom professional tablets. They are the best, like, right? And lots of places just buy Wacom forever. And how can you blame them? For a while, for a couple of decades, Wacom was the only answer if you're doing art, right? Kenina says, I have a blanket, no LG, no Samsung products in my house. Been really interesting. Why would you need to draw if you have Galaxy A? Yeah. Hey, it'll happen. It'll happen. So far, it's Apple, Huawei, and Xiaomi for barrel rotation. Yeah. And I don't think the other Huawei and the Xiaomi, I don't know, I don't have any experience with their pens. I'm not sure how good they are. The feel of the pen's gonna be very important. Chance of Wacom using mini LED tech for the future display tablets? No. So first of all, they don't release display tablets very often. Like it's, you're talking about, hey, we'll just take a look. Let's look at the data. Let's not speak with dogma, let's take a look at the data, okay? This is why I build the tools I build. Let's take a look. Draw tab, Data Explorer. Let's take a look at the timeline for Wacom. Okay. Okay. When was their last Cintiq Pro? Since you're talking about display tablets, Cintiq Pro launched 27 launched in 2022. When was the previous time they launched? Let's go backwards. This is 16, which sounds like it's very recent compared to this one, but it's really the old tech. You have to go back to the Cintiq Pro 24. Actually, let me do it by pen display. That'll shorten the list. Okay, 2022, that was the new generation of Cintiq Pros. And the first of the old generation, Pro, was really this generation, right? This generation right here. This was, 2017, 2016. Okay? So that is, let's just say that's 7 years. 5 years. But I think it's gonna be a while. I think it's gonna be a while before they do anything. In the space of that time, displays improved quite a bit, and they didn't release new Cintiq Pros. So I think at the earliest, let's just say in 5 years, in 2027, we might see a new Cintiq Pro. But I don't even expect that, honestly. I think it'll be 2030. I wonder if it's easier for active pens to implement barrel rotation. I can think of reasons why it might be, honestly. Thanks, I'm gonna go cry and drink now. I can see why it'd be. So here's some other, so we'll talk about pen tablets, and it expands the pen displays. Another reason why you might pick one pen tablet over the other, and this is a good reason, is just, it comes with accessories you care about. Okay, so let me give you just 3 accessories that might be interesting, okay? Besides more pens, right? I think all tablets should come with 2 pens. Okay, that's number 1. First tablet does that for a non-pro tablet. I think that's an amazing thing to get. Wacom's probably only focused on licensing their tech to Samsung. Well, here's what I learned. Ivan, good to see you. Hello. Akurek, what I discovered, I was told by an analyst that Wacom Wacom has 3 businesses. I forgot the third one, but one is called the branded business, meaning devices that have Wacom on them, the name, okay? That 32-inch, I would love to try one, but they're still super expensive. Let's just take a look here, eBay. It's almost like I just want one for bragging rights, you know what I'm saying? Wacom Cintiq Pro 32. Let's go for touch. Why not? Is it even... Okay, let's just try Cintiq Pro 32. What do we got here? Okay, let's try B&H Photos. I don't think this is sold anymore. B&H Photo. Let's see. Cintiq 32. Let's just see if they find it. I can't even find them. So yeah, it's too big. I think 27 is too big. But just for the experience, I'd like to try or have a 32-inch Wacom. I'll have to keep on watching on eBay. Oh, sorry, Wacom. I don't know if I completed my sentence. Wacom makes more money so they have 3 business units. Branded business is their tablets with the name Wacom on them, and then they have like a technology licensing division. They make, I don't have the exact numbers, but they make substantially more money from licensing than their branded business. That isn't a criticism. That is not intended as a criticism. It is just, it shows you that and it's a good thing, I would say. It's probably a good thing in some sense because they don't release tablets that often. So it's good that they have that income, but they're probably getting a steady income regularly from the licensing, okay? Because you buy a Wacom tablet, you may not buy one for another 7, 8, 10, 15 years, right? Display tablets you'll get faster. So pen tablets, there's 3 ideas I had. Number 1 was obviously barrel rotation. Number 2 would be something like a TourBox, a Wacom. Like imagine a Wacom branded TourBox. Everyone has these remotes, and I hate remotes. Okay, I want something that's more ergonomic. Okay, Bold to walk on to think that artists have money. If I've learned one thing with this channel, it's that artists do not have money, or they don't have like a lot of discretionary income. They just spend it willy-nilly. Patents are the real money maker for them. Yeah. Also, chat, hit like on the video. That also, yeah, you can feel free to hit like if you want to. Okay, here's another idea. I saw this was at a video at some conference. Someone had made, get this, now this is gonna be hard to explain. You know how pens have an eraser? And you know how there's actually like actual like rubber erasers that are this big chunks of rubber? Someone made an actual digital eraser. And I thought that was interesting, right? An actual digital eraser, right? Yvonne says, hey, I love the drawing tablet tool you create, but have requests I do accept requests. Can you add yeah, absolutely. I'll do that today. Yvonne. Absolutely happy to do that. It's easy. I'll do it now. How's that? I'll do it right now. Okay. Okay. And I'll show you. It's so easy to do this stuff. It's crazy. Let's see. First, I gotta find out Apple, what was it? iPad models list. Okay, so I'm just gonna go there. I'll show you how easy it is. Okay. List of Apple iPad models. Okay. So that's good. That's good. This is from Apple Fandom. We got to be careful about just getting random user lists. Does this list every app? Okay, I think it does actually. Okay, this is good. Okay, so here's what I'm gonna do. I am going to, we'll just do it. With Claude, it's made managing my data so much easier. So let me show you what I do. I'm going to, I have Claude up already. You guys have seen it many times. Okay, so here's what we do, okay? So then, this is exactly what I do. I'm not exaggerating, okay? I have to make sure I have the GitHub repo. So let me launch GitHub Desktop. Okay. Yes. I don't know why it keeps asking me that stupid question. Okay. And let's see. Let's clone Draw Tab Data Explorer. Choose that. That's the UI that I sent the link to. Select and then clone. Okay, so it's there. Now I create a new session and then I say which folder to look in. Okay, and this is under GitHub, Draw Tab Data Explorer. Open. Okay, and then I say read, because I need it to familiarize itself with what's going on. Read all the docs in the docs folder. I think I have docs in the docs folder. To familiarize, there's probably a better way of doing this, yourself with this project. Okay? Rather than saying read all the code, I say, hey, you read this document. Or there's a bunch of documents there. So the project is self-describing. Okay? I've been meaning to do this, so it was a perfect time, Yvonne, that you asked this question. It used to be such a nightmare for me to ingest, because I had to manually copy and paste values into JSON files, which is a totally difficult procedure. Okay? Okay, so it knows, now it's understood what to do. And I'm going to say, I want to add a bunch of new tablets, specifically Apple iPads. The information for these models is in this page. Okay, now there's several things I could do here. One thing, but I'm just gonna let it get the page, which is this page, copy. Okay, And this is it. This is how you talk to these AIs. You just tell them stuff like this. It's gonna think about how it's gonna look at the page, and it's going to like think about it, and then we'll see what it says. So okay, it's doing some checking. Like, do we already know Apple's already a brand? So let's just let it cook. Let's see. Canina says, it makes sense for the market user base that branded Wacom business would be smaller. Yes, fewer users need tablets, but the licensing tech provides broader use case. Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. The issue I have is that none of their licensing seems to involve professionally the pro pen tech. So we're stuck with UD-EMR, which is just okay, but like you know, it's not as good as the pro pen stuff, and they just don't license that apparently. So we're stuck with tablets that are never as good as what Wacom provides in terms of drawing experience, right? And it's frustrating. But their patents are done, so like I just don't, you know. Samsung will never change. They own a portion of Wacom. I don't know how big a portion, but they own some portion of it. So they're not going to change, and they don't care. We have the issue is the people who make standalone devices, which is probably our only hope for getting really good standalone things, is they somehow have to be convinced, I guess, that the pens they have are just crap and not good enough. Somehow they have to get the bug in their head that they have an opportunity to have a much better experience, which would drive a huge wave of adoption. And the only way to do that, they need to invest in pen tech. And from that, they would probably go, and since Wacom won't do it, they'd probably go and find, what is it? Sorry, I got to figure out how to say this again. They're going to have to go and find someone like Huion. PWM is I have a doc on that. I'll show you in a second. But that's I'm not totally an expert on displays, honestly. But since Canina asked, let's talk about PWM. Hey, as I always say, Canina, I have a doc for everything. Okay, so I'm pretty sure I have PWM listed here somewhere. PWM Flickr. Okay, here we go. So in the context of what we talk about, PWM is a way these tablet displays are implemented, or these displays are implemented, which certain people notice a flickering. Okay, not all displays do it, but some do, and some people are really sensitive to it. Like, I am not sensitive to the effect, so I can look at a monitor that has it, I won't detect it. I have a buddy, I'm not joking, any office he's in, he can just see everything flickering. His eyes are like super sensitive. So he would probably detect it. So there's testing for this you can do to detect it. So people often need to know. And the problem with PWM is people either don't mention it because they don't see it with their own eyes, and it may not be obvious when you're taking a video. So you need someone to specifically test for it, okay? And just so you understand what's happening, the PWM, it says right here, the panel is being turned off, really on and off very fast, okay? There's the alternative here, which is called DC dimming, direct current dimming. So it's like less power is sent. So it's that on and off thing which causes the flickering. Does that make sense, Canina? Yeah, and there can be other causes of flickering, but for a lot of displays, I think OLEDs. Here's my understanding: OLEDs have been prone to it, though it seems like it's less of an issue these days. Okay, and by the way, PWM stands for pulse width modulation. Why exactly those terms are used, I don't know, but that's what PWM is. Okay, let's see. Look, okay, it's asking me questions. Before I write data, it lists order numbers. Actually, let's take a look. Maybe I didn't. What page did I give it? Oh, okay. It's a good question. So it's saying, hey, schema for digitizing. Okay. So I got to solve the first thing because it's like I don't have specs on this page. I just have other shit, other stuff. Sorry, I try not to, Chris. Yvonne, if you're still streaming later, okay, yeah, I'll be done with this tonight, or today, absolutely, probably within the next hour, as a matter of fact. So yeah, just check in a little bit. It should be there. Okay, so to solve problem number one, I need to find actually a list of Apple iPad specs. Okay, list of Apple iPad specs. Okay. We're gonna have to find a page for this. Maybe Wikipedia will do it for us. This might be complicated because this is such a crazily formatted table, but let's see. Copy. For number one, does this page help? Let's figure this out and then solve number 2 and 3. So let's do that. So if I had to do this manually, it would be crazy. Like it would just drive me crazy. And that's actually one reason why I rarely updated my data, because I was like, oh, it was such a frustrating exercise. But now it's like, it's pretty easy to get all the data from one place. I will have to periodically do an audit to make sure my data matches what the spec sheets say, but that's easy to do. And that's something I can just do like as a background task. But yeah, when I need to get a new tablet, this is what I do. If I see Huion release something, I'll say, okay, Claude, here's the page for it. Put it in my database, and then let's update the data sets and the UI as needed. Okay, let's let that cook. And I don't collect every spec. It just needs the one it cares about, right? For like displays and things like that. Okay, so getting back to my topic of how can we differentiate the things we buy? So with displays, I think the situation is a little bit different. See, the tech for pen tablets isn't changing. The most interesting thing you could do is add like a toolbox type device, right? Barrel rotation, a few other things. We don't think that could get really much better. They're sort of just like, they're where they're at. They're almost at the peak right now. For pen displays, it's a little bit different because display tech is evolving and we know it's going to evolve. First of all, displays are just getting cheaper. Okay. Number 2, we see things like different panel technologies are in the mix. As of yet, only a couple of tablets use OLED. I think like 2 of them, right? It's very rare. So I think that is something we're going to see. You'll start differentiating pen displays on OLED. We've already seen pen displays, Pro ones, start differentiating on color support and color accuracy and gamut support. So we're still able to pick things that way, okay? Refresh rate, that's still a thing that's in the mix. Like we're starting to see like, oh, people want higher refresh rates. So you can start picking displays like that. There are display panel technologies that are coming. There's mini LED, the theoretical micro LED, right? Those could give us much better experiences for drawing tablets, maybe even lower power, right? So there's lots of display stuff. I don't think I mentioned touch, but then there's touch. I think touch is going to be another way we'll start picking. Even if you don't use touch, if the price difference is not much, you'll probably just pick touch, right? And I just generally think this pen display should have touch. It basically costs nothing. Okay, number 2. Let's see, it's asking me, recommending leaving digital type. What are the positive and negatives of using Claude? What is the most important thing a newbie should know when using Claude for the first time? I think the consensus is that Claude is the best for code. Okay, it just really does. It's very smart about. I'm not saying it's the con is that it's costly, but it is the best for code. If you want code, this is the place most people go to. It's sophisticated. It doesn't do crazy things. It doesn't. I have not seen it hallucinate. Okay, I have seen it formulate the wrong conclusion, but that's why you have to have a conversation with any AI. But it's the most non-hallucinating code AI I've seen. All are getting good, but Claude is, I think, especially good in that sense. Number 2, I believe Claude started with the agentic coding. When you're using a normal chat interface, it's kind of a mess. But when you're using the Claude code and that agentic coding, everyone wants to do that now. That model of talking to the agent. So that's been a huge boon. Everyone's copying that now. Okay, and again, I think Claude started it. I'd say Claude. I'm going beyond Claude Code now. It's expanding into like Claude Cowork, which is like it can just do things on your computer, like rename files, and now it can connect to like Google Workspaces, like Gmail and things. You have to be like having like an enterprise account or something, so I can't use it with my Gmail, but it's just getting more and more integrated with other things. So I still think it's ahead. I think others are catching up. It would be plausible that some other AI leapfrogs it. But right now, I'm just getting, like, I did my taxes with Claude, okay? I formulated my taxes as a coding problem. Something, or at least a structured problem, and Claude did a great job. Okay. But I think you can jump into Claude without too much thinking. I will say it would definitely be good to watch someone, like a video, a tutorial showing the basics of this kind of coding system, right? Because there's just little things about how it uses Git and little things you should do that will make it easy for you. And also, as your projects grow, you'll need to become more thoughtful about how you plan the projects, right? So start playing, but start picking up the patterns of people that are doing more complex stuff. And a great example is from the app we built yesterday. I didn't just start coding. I spent an hour with Claude saying, here's what I want to build. Here's the features. Let's design an architecture. Let's identify key decisions we need to make. We spent almost an hour talking about just creating documents and creating those documents and a phased implementation plan. Then I said, okay, now execute the plan. That works much better than like, hey, let's just have random ideas building things, right? You can do that too. Is Gemini a bad coding app? In my experience, it's not as good as Claude. It's okay, right? I think in my experience, again, I think others will have different experiences. There's a certain level where Gemini works great, right? A moderately complex web app. But at a certain point, Claude was just like, yeah, I'm better at this. And it was just obviously better, right? It just knew. Like, here's a great example, because I don't want to be ambiguous. I found that Gemini got confused. It couldn't debug certain issues, okay? Like it didn't know what was going on. It's like, and literally it would go in loops, like, oh, I fixed the issue. I'm like, no, the issue's there. I'm like, oh, I figured it out. It would literally say, oh, I figured it out. It's exactly this. Try it. I'm like, it doesn't work. We would go on like 50 times. And finally I just said, what's going on here, right? I went to Claude and I said, hey, something's wrong here. And it's like, yeah, I see it. I got it fixed. Don't worry. And it did. It just fixed it. I can't say that happens every time, but most of the time it does seem that way. So I wouldn't say Gemini's bad, but definitely Claude is better, right? Now, Codex, I don't know. ChatGPT Pro, GitHub Copilot seems to be pretty good. Haven't totally dug into it yet. The new ChatGPT, OpenAI 5.5, I haven't used it. I think it's Codex. It seems good too, but again, I just haven't I didn't dive deep into it. Okay, let me just quickly. Okay, to proceed. Okay, proceed. So here's the other decision Claude made. So I'm saying import all these iPads. It imported all the ones that support the Apple Pencil. So that makes sense because we don't want to talk about non-pencil supporting Apple iPads, do we? And then we'll check in with it and see if we can give Yvonne what he wanted. Again, I'm so happy he asked because we actually get a chance now to. I've been wanting to do this for a while to add the Apple iPads. Because I added the Apple Pencils a couple of days ago. Okay, let me do one thing. I need to get my phone in front of me for a second, just to check something. Okay, it's charged up. I'm trying to turn it on now, which it's not turning on. Okay, so Claude is doing its business. We'll let it figure it out. Yeah, we'll let it figure it out. But yeah, I'm loving Claude. And by the way, I just want to say this. Even though my experience has been great, I am totally open to switching to something else. I am not religious about this topic. I would not stick with Claude if I thought something was truly better. Okay? Right now, everyone should be fighting for my love. Okay? So I will, like I said, we're doing this app on Mac OS. Today, I'm going to ask GitHub Copilot to analyze the documents and provide a document of feedback. And I'll tell Claude, here's the feedback on the project. And these two will implicitly be fighting in an adversarial way, right? Oh, let's see. Daydreamer. Hey, I got the 11-inch moving pad with the recommended case. What's the best slim stylus pen for it? You got it with the Pro Pen 3, right? That is the best slim stylus pen for it. In terms of how good it is to draw. If you want an alternative, which is not as good to draw, you can get any UDEMR pen like the Samsung S Pen, the Wacom CP913 or 923. I can show you a list if you want. I can show you a list. Because UDMR pens of a certain generation are all compatible with it. But the Pro Pen 3 it came with is really the best slim pen for it, honestly. Because the pressure is so much better with that pen. Okay, we're waiting for Claude. Okay, I'm gonna go back to my drawing tablet. What would cause us to pick drawing tablets? So displays in general are a feature. Touch, of course. There's another, I've said this before, but maybe it's worth repeating. There can be an opportunity where the category of device changes a lot. So let me just give you an example. Hang on. I'm going to find a picture of a phone. Classic. Okay. Okay, this is a classic phone. Okay, hang on, I'm going to show it to you. Okay. This is the kind of phone I used for a long time, right? Because I am old. And I actually thought about getting one of these. But they're not, some of these are not necessarily cheap. And by the way, they should still work in your phone line, by the way, at least in the United States. But that's what we thought of as a phone, was those kinds of devices, right? These with the rotary dials, everything. And then we had push buttons. So now what do we have? We have devices like, like this, right? This is a phone now. Doesn't make any sense. It looks nothing like that phone. It does really nothing like, it does not work like that old phone at all, right? And I barely talk on it. But we switched to a completely new kind of device that met every fundamental need of the old device, okay? And we call it the same thing, but it's not the same thing at all. It has no actual relationship to that old device, okay? Except the name. This, if you show this to somebody in the 70s, right, they'd be amazed, number one. And they wouldn't call it, if you didn't tell them the name of this, the kind of device, they would say, oh, that's a Star Trek tricorder. That's what they'd interpret this device to be, right? Even in Star Trek Next Generation, they'd be like, oh, it's like the old-fashioned tricorders, right? Anyway, my point is the kinds of devices really changed, but they met all our needs. I think it is maybe there's a 1/1,000,000% chance something similar could happen with pen displays. Pen displays are devices that have glass and touch sometimes and have pixels, and you can draw on them with a pen. An iPad is a device that has all those features too, right? I think at least for 16-inch devices, maybe a little bit smaller and below, it is conceivable we don't have pen displays anymore. That they're all pen, or actually I should say, everything that we call a pen display is actually a standalone device. In other words, we might still have a Cintiq Pro, but all Cintiq Pros you'd be able to detach from your computer and they'd work standalone to some degree. I think that's an intriguing idea. I don't think the operating systems and the processors are there yet. Some are there. The Apple ones are there for sure. But that is a future. Now, what do you deal with things that are larger? It's still conceivable that like a 20-inch Cintiq Pro or whatever, that those are also, they still have compute in them. Why not? Right? It could be that's the next class of a device, right? It's something that we're going to call a pen display, but really it's not. It's really just a standalone device. I think there's lots of problems with this idea because those devices are very expensive, they're more fragile, they have OS updates, and no one wants to buy a new pen display every couple of years. So there are flaws with this idea. I'm not saying it's necessarily the best. Let's see. It is doing things. It's doing all sorts of things. I've learned to just let Claude do what it needs to do. And then we'll take a look at what it built and see if we actually get the iPads in there. Let's see. Yeah, so I think we've got lots of room for amazing things to occur. We'll see. Okay, while we're waiting, I'm going to do some actual work with you all by opening up Reddit. And let's just see what people are asking and if anyone needs our help today. As we're waiting for buying first tablet. Oh yeah, I actually did some of that live on stream, Nano Banana. It is impressive. I haven't tried the very latest version. I will say this. It impressed the heck out of me with what it can do, right? It made me realize that there's tons of things. Okay, it's got some flaws for what I'm about to say, but let me talk about the vision. There's tons of things it can do, which it's probably easier to do in Nano Banana than in Photoshop. It's easier I feel like it does a better job of doing things like removing people and changing lighting than Photoshop, okay? In a general sense. However, it does weird things when you give it a photo. So for example, if I want to remove a person, I don't want the other people to change. And sometimes in Nano Banana, they might change a little bit. I've also noticed slight distortions. So for example, if you took a photo of just a box, right? And said, okay, rotate the box or relight the box as if light's on it. It would do it, but you'd see the box is slightly rotated in a different shape. It's distorted a little bit. So it's modifying the image in ways we don't want. So that's a negative of Nano Banana. But the quality of what it generates is very good. We can try it too, but it is very good. Actually, you know what? Let's try it. Let's just try. Because I've not tried the latest version. Google, Gemini, create image. Let me just make sure everything's cool here. Oh, I have something else to show people, which is going to be a little bit interesting. Let me do this Nano Banana thing, and I'm gonna, let's see. Oh yeah, I have a logo, which is really awful, right? Oh, sorry, let me take a look. James says, I fell for the trap with my Artist Ultra 16, but hope OLED displays don't become a big draw for screen displays. Yeah, it is unnecessary. I don't think they're necessary. I don't think we need OLED for most of the time we're using displays. I really don't. And I'm still nervous about OLED lifetime, by the way, and color distortion over time. Very nervous about it. Let's see. Okay, so let me just show you the context. Okay, and the context is let me go to my YouTube page, just so you see the kind of thing I'm talking about. Oh, Brad Coble has a new video. We got it. Okay, we're gonna watch the video, then we'll talk about it. We're gonna talk about it. Okay, so this is my logo, right? It is not a good logo. Oops, wrong thing. It's just this 7 with, it's a kind of squircle shape around it, okay? I'm not happy with it. Let me look at my notes here. Okay, great. And then my page, if you actually go to this page, look at this banner. Looks awful, doesn't it? It's so lame. Let me copy this image and say, hey, I have this YouTube banner. Now, because people get upset when I use Gen AI, I am not going to actually use what it creates, but let's play. Let's paste the image and say, oops, it's not pasting. So maybe I have to download. Maybe I have to download this image. Save image as, just in downloads, yeah, save. Okay. And then let me find in Finder. Where's Finder? Here. Let's find where the downloads are. Okay. So here's what I'm going to tell it. This is a very boring YouTube channel banner. Spice it up. That's all I'm going to say. Something ambiguous. Okay. Spice it up. Not the best AI prompt, but let's just see what it does. And this is just a simple example. At the very worst, it might give me an idea. Okay, I've redesigned your YouTube banner to give it a fresh, vibrant new look. I'm waiting for the image now. Let's see. Okay. I will give it I don't know what do you think? Let me download it so we can see a big picture. But right now, I'm going to say I'm kind of impressed. Let's take a look at it. Okay, so I've done this so many times. Let's see what I like about it, what I don't like about it. First of all, this, I expected it to keep the same dimensions. It didn't do that. That's okay. I'm not going to criticize that. It kept the logo. It added a little bit of, can I zoom in on this? I don't know. Right? Does the hand work? I don't know. Okay. Oh. So it actually did. Yeah, Eddie, I agree with you. Sometimes it's simple is better. I've tried spicing up my logo before, but it always ends up as a disaster. Right? So it added a very nice shadow here. It kept, as far as I can tell, visually the same logo. It made it like it's made out of paper, like 2 layers of cardboard paper. Okay? So I like it. It kept my assets, right? It did not distort it. This looks at least very close to the font that was in the original banner. So it kept the typography. I'm happy about that. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 pens. 7 pens there. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 pens there. Yeah, James, you're right. It actually did a pretty good job. I mean, all things considered. I love this decorative tape it did. It placed everything on a background with a little ink, and these little pens are drawn, and watercolor. So I think this did a fantastic job. What I used to see with Nano Banana and other things is they would add all these little really messed up details. Like you'd see little, I don't know, bubbles and little garbage things everywhere. I don't see that here. Every object is complete. The only excess in this are these 2 caps, which the books, well, we're going to get to the books. Aquarake. These caps are necessary. Like they visually balance, which is good, but they're unnecessary. Okay. These books, as Aquarake points out, they are not at the right perspective. They are like tilted on another plane. Everything else is correct, as if we're looking top down with a camera, but this is like off, it's tilted in some weird way, right? So this did a great job. Now, another thing I noticed is it kept my color, which is kind of like a fuchsia. I actually want to change my color a bit, but it complemented it very well, right? The pens, they look good. I mean, they look like, they almost look like 3D models or some kind of rendering of a pen. Overall, super happy. Let's see if I can tweak it. And tell it, hey, this is great. I always compliment the UI. This is great, but my focus is not traditional drawing tools like ink pens and watercolors, but rather digital. So I'm speaking to like a human. I'm not trying to give it precise answers. Digital art. So like Wacom tablets and pressure sensitive styluses, and pen tablets and pen displays. And I didn't tell it to change it. I just said, that's great, but I have a different focus. Let's see how it's going to absorb this. The layout is good. The layout is actually, it's a good layout, right? Now we're going to, I'm glad you asked this question because we are going to, now that we're doing this. Okay, now I said go digital. Okay, let's just see what it did. Let's download this. Well, let me open it up and download. Let's take a look at what we got. Where is that down? Okay, here's the next version. Let's take a look. Now, I think this is interesting. Okay, it is interesting. Let's just take a look at what we got here. This is a Wacom tablet. This one on the left, the blue border, is an actual Wacom tablet. So is the one. I mean, every device on the left is a Wacom tablet. So that was actually great. 6 pens. Okay, let's take a look at the pens. I know this pen. That's a KP504E. That's the Pro Pen 2. Looks exactly like what it's supposed to be. This is an Apple Pencil. Okay, it was the one I hate, the one with the USB-C connector. This looks like an S Pen with a cover. This is some sort of pen from another world. This is a thing to check tire pressure. And this is a stick of some kind. USB hub. A pen holder that looks a little too vertical. A belt. Okay, I need a new belt. I lost some weight. I need a new belt. Some nibs, which look odd. Some more nibs. They're a little too short. This is more like a normal nib. A color palette thing. Like a node editing thing. More color palettes. Digital tape. I like this. It actually made digital tape. That's interesting. Not bad. It's not bad. It put pen tablets and pen displays there. Okay. Okay, now we're going to try to tell it to... We're going to try to tell it to fix things. Okay? And we're not... This is going to be difficult for it, I think. I'm like... The picture... We're going to try to correct the picture. The picture shows... first of all, let's fix the pens. I want all KP504E. Shows 6 different kinds of pens. Instead, use the pen on the leftmost pen for all 6 pens, so that it is the same model pen. Okay, let's just tell it. Can you edit an image? The first was just being creative and keeping typography. Is this doing a good job now? We're gonna see. Let me check my phone real quick. I think I have a message. Okay, I'm good. Okay. This is now we're seeing a little bit of weirdness here, but let's download it. This is doing better than it has ever done before, by the way. I want to make sure I'm complimenting it. I don't want to sound overly critical. It's actually doing a great job. Even if I'm saying, oh, it did this, did that. It did a fantastic, it copied the pen over. It added a 7th pen, okay? But these look like the same exact pen. They don't look distorted in any way. I like the edit. I do like the edit. In fact, it has, okay, I'm going to try the same thing, but I'm going to say, this is going to be a hybrid thing, okay? I'm going to say, keep the pens, but I would like to incorporate a lot of greenery and flowers, or, as into the background. And leaves. You know what I'm saying? Okay, and it's just a creative idea. I don't know what's going to happen. Incorporate a lot of greenery, plants, and flowers in the background. Now, we don't know it might draw them. It might use photos for them. We don't know. But let's just see. This is like how messed up what the image will be. doesn't know what I'm trying to get at. We don't know. Actually, I did a great job. The only thing I could complain about maybe is I want more greenery. Honestly, let's take a look. Yeah, you're right. You're right. It's starting to get too much, isn't it? I should have asked it to clean up the image and focus on one or two things instead of like, hey, let's just dump everything there. But this kind of collage style I like, right? Where it's like, it's clearly not a bunch of photos, but it's, everything looks kind of beautiful, right? It's just rendered very nicely. There are some problems with, or the reality of this page doesn't make any sense because of the perspective issues that were pointed out. It is too busy. I do agree with it, but I think it did a good job trying to fill the greens and the flowers, right? Like, and let me share the nice touches. It didn't go overboard in the flowers. I think that's actually a good touch. It just added a couple. They didn't clash too much. Green and red is tough to deal with, but it did, so it's kind of suffers through that. I like the fact this ivy went around the logo. It didn't obscure it went over the logo, it didn't obscure the 7. This little plant here's here. Yeah, the background is getting distracting. But overall, I think you can see the quality of image generation we're getting out of Nano Banana is pretty good. It is still prone to doing things which is like it gets ordinality wrong, meaning if you have counts of things, right? This is what happens. Kinina says this is what happens when you make what the client asked for. Make the logo bigger is what the client asked for. Make the logo bigger. There's a song called "Make the Logo Bigger," by the way. Make the logo as big as you can, big as you can. So this was good. I'm actually, look, we are seeing I was about to use the word epidemic. This is what we're seeing day to day now from advertising and things. It's all just AI gen, right? I have resigned myself to this fate. Okay, I have resigned myself. That is just what's happening. What is our way out of it is that people are going to start doing it with more taste. Okay? And we're going to find new ways of doing this. So a great example I have is like, here's a classic example. You have a photo, you have your ex-girlfriend who, when you think back on it, she really wasn't that good an ex-girlfriend. So let's remove her. And we're not going to replace her. We're still going to just keep the photo where it's at. But I don't need to see her face. This is a fake story, by the way. None of this is real. But Nano Banana and these other tools Nano Banana I have tried. It's actually really good at removing people. Really good at removing people, right? So that's the kind of edit we're going to expect. I think we're going to see much more subtle edits. And that's what I'd like. I'm experimenting with that myself. So an example, can I do this example? Hang on, let me figure out how I can do this for you. Okay, we're going to do it live. Okay? First, let me make sure I have an app on this Mac. Okay, I do. I have local send here. Okay. I have an iPad here. Okay? You can see it there. I'm just going to turn it on, and I'm going to just place the iPad here. You can't see. Let me open it up since it's otherwise just shutting off. Okay. And there's all sorts of problems right now. And I'm going to take a photo of it. And we're going to use this as a test of how Nano Banana can be used in several ways, which aren't, traditional fake AI, Gen AI stuff, even though it is using that tech. I'm going to take a photo. Okay. I don't want a photo of me. Okay. And I'm going to take a photo. I'm going to move one monitor out of the way here. And it's not going to be clean, okay? It's going to be messy, but we're going to take it, okay? So the scenario here is I am, Kainina, yeah, AI does not understand principles of design, but it can mesh previously established yes. And so I think you are going to need people who have the design taste. Right now, everyone's, how can I say it? AI is like a magical Photoshop filter. And what does everyone do with the filter? If the filter has a slider from 0 to 100, no one leaves the slider at 2. Everyone just instinctively jams it all the way to 100 and like, let's go, okay? That's what we're seeing with AI right now. I think we're going to see people dial the slider back. They're still going to use it, but they're going to be so tasteful about it. They're going to set the slider at 3. And you might or might not notice that AI has been used, but even if you do, you'll be like, this was still a very tasteful image. And they're not trying to be cheap, right? That's one thing a lot of AI gen is like, people are just trying to avoid cost, okay? And yes, it does cost less to do certain things, but we're gonna try to make things look good. So the scenario here is I took a messy picture of my iPad and my desk. It has cables everywhere, it has my monitor, it actually has that 7Pens logo. I'm gonna send it to the Mac via local send. And we're gonna ask, the scenario is going to be, this is going to be a thumbnail for a YouTube video, okay? Let's see, I'd be curious if you can take direction, like emphasize white space. Yes, maybe we'll try that. I'm gonna tell it, here's a really bad photo, and I need to clean it up, and for a YouTube, like a advertisement maybe. So we need the iPad to show a different picture because it's showing some personal information right now. We need the monitor to show a different image. Again, it's because it's showing personal information. We need to remove all the cables. These are things you do in Photoshop. Let's see if Gemini, Nano Banana rather, the new version can just deal with these issues, okay? And deal with an issue in a way that you're like, and let's do some relighting. And the background here is it's just a stupid white wall. Let's get rid of it. Let's just make it something a little more interesting. We could make it a coffee shop or a jungle or whatever. Let's see if you can survive all of these things, okay? This is another threat, I think, to Adobe. If Nano Banana gets good enough, lots of things that you do in Adobe Photoshop, you just don't, why would you do them there? You just load it up, you just tell the AI to fix it for you, right? Do you really want to spend your life making selections and feathering it? No. Okay. Let me send this picture to my Mac, and we're going to try this out. Let's see, local sends. Local send is my favorite tool right now, by the way, for sending stuff. Send media to select. Yep, confirm. To my Mac, I accept, and done. It should be in my downloads, okay? So we're gonna start a new chat. We're gonna say create image, and let me find my Finder. Here we go, okay? This image is nothing special. You can see it right here. It's exactly what I said. It's messy. Nothing about this is good. There's cables everywhere. There's a keyboard here. There's some stuff here. And there's the box here and an open door and like a white wall. Not good looking at all, okay? We are gonna fix this. Or we're gonna see how much Nano Banana can help us. So that this becomes, actually, you know what, Brad, I love Brad. His thumbnails are so excellent. And we're gonna watch this video, by the way. Brad Colbo, and I will, Brad Colbo, in my opinion, has great thumbnail game, okay? So take a look at the thumbnail he's got here. I think this is a real photo. He has his background, which is very nice. He's got some very standard way he presents things with his certain font he uses, and he didn't just he put the tablet at an angle, etc. Oh, sorry, you can't see what I'm seeing. My mistake. Okay, this is Brad Colbo's thumbnail, right? And his channel is filled with kind of really nice, very consistent, but you can see right here, he's got, for the monitors, he's got a little bit of colored background. He likes a lot of color, in generally, when he talks about tablets. Like, I love this one, actually, right? I don't know how he does this. I do think he actually has an actual physical background of that color, but he may be doing some additional edits to extend the region. I don't know. But I just think it looks great. So we're going to aim for something like what he does. Okay? So I've loaded the image, and I'll say, clean up, remove all the cables. That's the first thing. Remove all the cables. Okay? Because the cables are just noise, right? We don't really care about all the cables. Selecting, yes, you can use the remove tool in Photoshop. Yes, it would do a good job, but maybe I don't want to care about that right now. Now remember, the rule here is I can't use a mouse to select things. I just have, okay, take a look at this. It did a great job, right? Boom. Yeah, it left this little Gemini thing, but that's okay. Okay. Next, I'm going to say there's a couple of objects on the lower right corner. Remove them, okay? Because I don't want those. There are a couple of objects on the lower right corner, or near the lower right corner. Remove them. I'll say partial objects, so it understands they're not partial objects. So maybe that'll help it. Who knows? You like his thumbnails too, Kininya? Okay. Let's see what it does. Great job. Object's gone. Okay, next. And this is going to be tough. First, let's get rid of noise, things we don't like, okay? There is an open doorway on the white wall in the background. Remove the entire doorway and just replace it with the white wall. So I'm trying to just remove junk. Let's see what it does. I think it's going to do a good job here, but this might be where it gets confused. Because I've tried this before, and sometimes in older versions. So this is a test for me. We will see. We will see. Okay, it didn't do what I wanted. Okay. See, and now the question is, how do I go back to this? Okay. This has actually always confused me about, okay, what to do here. It didn't quite, you see what it did? It actually removed the doorway, but not the closet behind it. Okay. I don't know what to do in this situation. I guess I'm just going to say remove all the background and replace them with a single flat white wall. Single flat white wall. With the single flat white wall. This is where you can see it's not quite thinking what I want. Okay, it says it did it, but we will see. And just so we're on the same page, why am I doing this kind of experiment? This is the kind of thing you can, okay, did a great job there, right? So we're halfway, and it actually removed some garbage back here. Okay, then I'm gonna say there's a partial. It added a keyboard. That's another problem you'll see. There are partial objects. Are partial objects on the left corner, right corner, and right side. Remove them. Okay, we've cleaned up the image. It actually gave a little bit of a shadow to the iPad, by the way, for the wall. And then we'll see if we can use a reference image and say, oh, I like Brad's thumbnail. Can we? Okay, did a fantastic job. We are good here, right? Now, what I want to do is, I don't know how to express this, so let me talk it through with you. These things are sitting on a wooden table in a white room. I would like it to appear as if the wooden table just goes to infinity, so we don't see any of the white walls, okay? So let me tell that to them. I'm gonna speak it to it, okay? Let me allow, what was I gonna say? The objects are sitting on a wooden table, and everything's inside a white room. I want the wooden table to extend to infinity so that we don't see any of the white walls. I don't know if that's the best way of expressing that, but let's see. So we're trying to get to Brad's image. We're doing it step by step. Think about how much time this would take in Photoshop. Not just in like selection time, but just the headache of dealing with it. And you'd have to have Photoshop up. Okay, this is much better. This is actually much better, okay? Now, let's go to Brad's thing here. Let's find an example. I'm just trying to find a good gradient, actually. And I don't know if it's going to do this correctly, so we're going to have to think about... I'm going to find an image that I think is in the same zone as Brad. Okay, I think this is a good one, actually, this Huion. Let me get a picture here. Hi, Brad, we stole your thumbnail style. Live on stream. Let me copy this, see if I can paste it. Okay, let's get back to... Okay, great. Now I'm going to add... is that file downloaded? I got to double check. Oops, where did it go? Is it in downloads? I don't know. I may not have saved it there. I don't think I did. I'm going to go back there and do it again. Let's find it, open it up, and save it somewhere. How do you save these images? I just don't know how does Apple do this? Apple does weird things with files, you know, it just does not know. I'm in the screenshot tool. How the hell do you save things here? I'm trying to share it with what? I just want to save. Okay, I'm gonna have to use Google for a second. Mac OS screenshot. How to save file to downloads. Just, it's unclear. Command to save Mac screenshots to downloads, press Command Shift 5, click Options. Oh God, I had to take the screenshot differently. Thanks. Command Shift 5. No, I don't want. How stupid. There's many things I like about macOS, but there are irritations. And screenshotting is one of them. This thing is so sluggish too. Okay, it did that. And then I'm like trying to figure out how to save it to a, it doesn't even save it. In the options toolbar, select download from list. What? Click options. Where the heck are these so-called options here? I have no clue what it's doing. Okay, I'm gonna figure out another way of doing this. I'm just gonna do it manually by telling it what I want. Okay. Instead of a desk, just make it a surface with a medium green color. I don't know what it's going to do. Let's just take a look. Okay, we're getting close, aren't we? Right? This is basically where we're at. Okay, then I'm going to say, we don't want to see my Discord and the, okay? So this is getting good. I will say, remove the white band at the top and continue and replace it with the green background. So I just want one continuous green background. So it's more edits than I expected, but we'll see. And then we'll say add some text. So if we've done this, we will have exercised Nano Banana to do something I think would have taken, even if you had the skills to do this in Photoshop, you might choose to do this because it just saves you time. Okay, it did exactly what I wanted. Now it does have a little bit of border here, that's fine. Now we'll say, replace the screen what is shown on the iPad screen with a bright yellow with a field of bright yellow flowers. Will it understand that there's a screen inside the iPad? We don't know. I'm curious if it will do it. It did it perfectly, actually. I thought it actually kept the reflection of my light here too, which is actually quite impressive. Okay. Now we're going to do the same to that screen. We're getting to Brad's thing, right? We're getting very close. Replace. Sorry, what did I say for the previous prompt? Replace what is shown on the monitor screen. Is shown on the monitor screen with a, what did I say? Field of bright violet colors. And then the real discussion happens. Otherwise, this looks good, right? Okay, let's take a look at this and just talk about how good it, and we're going to add actually text, but let's take a look at what it has. It's still downloading. And let's open this up and take a look. Okay, so you've seen Brad's thumbnails, which I love, and you've seen this. Are there things that are wrong here? Yeah, absolutely. If we zoom in, and I didn't want to do that. The keys have become distorted here. Do you see that? How messed up. They look like they're melting or peeling off. They look very odd. From a distance, you don't notice. So that's the first thing you notice about Nano Banana is like successive edits can introduce like distortion, even though you sort of told it, do not change those things. I didn't tell it to change the iPad. I said change other things. So this is where Nano Banana falls down. Details can warp, and you have to pay really close attention to it. Okay? The color of the iPad, I think, became a little bit more dark. It preserved the bezel nicely, as far as I can tell. I'm not closely looking at it. What about this monitor? It kept the Huion logo. That looks correct, right? And it kept, yeah, it actually looks really good. Okay? Except for the iPad thing. Now we're going to say, let's see. We're going to remove the iPad. Okay, remove the iPad. The UPad, the iPad. Add a nice, this is going to be a review. This is going to be a review. Just maybe this gives it some context of the pen display. It doesn't know what this is, so I'm just saying of the monitor, because otherwise it might get confused if I say pen display. So put some text on the image saying Huion Canvas Canvas Pro 24. This is the brand name. Oops, in parentheses. And this is the name of the tablet. We'll call this Gen 3, okay? This is the name of the monitor. I'm just going to use nice typography. So two things, remove the iPad. And let's see, can we make thumbnails? And while I'm waiting, I'm going to check back with Claude. I had it implementing something. I can't even remember what I asked it to. Allow always. It's still working on that Apple iPad thing. Let me just keep on clicking there. So it's still just working through a few issues. And we'll run it locally, and then if it looks good, we'll publish it. Okay, here we go. Let's download it and take a look. So I didn't like the serif font it picked, right? Really wouldn't have been what I would have chosen. I'm surprised it picked it. Oops, old photo. Oh, here it is. Where is... downloads. There we go. There we go. Okay. So now tell me something honestly, and I don't want people to. We'll criticize the look of it. I'm okay with it, right? This would work fine as a thumbnail for a YouTube video. It did everything correctly. It got a word that is not normal English, Huion. It worked, and Canvas, that worked. The pen display looks correct. The cables are removed so it doesn't look, unattractive. It got that effect that we got from Brad, which is like just a flat color. Well, not a flat, but like this kind of infinite colored background. Now, this is the kind of thing I think I would call somewhat less slider set to 10, right? The slider here is set to 3, maybe 2. There's not a lot of creativity here. There's not like, it's not jumping at you with, oh, this is Gen AI, is it? Right? This is coming and it's showing me, well, you know what? We can actually, there are some compelling cases to help you do this kind of work, which is thumbnails for some marketing. And I don't think this causes us to feel so icky about it, right? Because in the course of creating, when I'm reviewing tablet, I don't say review, when I'm looking at tablets, I have 100 of them and I need to create images like this all the time. And it is difficult to photograph. I can get a photograph, I just can't get a literal green room like this with different colors every time, right? And yes, it's a pain to tell it, to type in Huion Canvas. All these little things add up when you're doing this a lot. So this is the kind of thing I think we can expect to see. I don't know if I'm going to be doing it, but I think it's worthy of discussing. Or I'm saying not worthy of discussing. I think this is something we're going to expect to see. Okay? I think this came out really nicely. I think I could have done things to make this cleaner. I could have done a cleaner photo, maybe not have that door open, maybe hide it in some way so that the Nano Banana was less confused about what to do. I could have showed an example image. I would have done that, but I was having trouble with Mac Screenshot app. I think maybe if I showed it some examples, it might have been able to replicate Brad's style. But other than this, it did great. I'm going to try one alternative here, which is a thing I actually do. I actually I have an app that writes the tablet's name on the screen, so I'm not wasting the photo area with just the tablet showing, Windows. The name of the tablet's on the tablet. So let's try that out. I'll say, put the brand and model as text on the image that is displayed on the monitor. Okay? Let's see what it does. This might confuse it. I'm not sure. It actually did it, and it did a great job, actually. It did, honestly, a great job. Let us download this so we can just peer into it with a little more closely. Okay, it's down here. Got it. Okay, so there's the old one. Here's the new one. Some things to notice here. It actually distorted the text correctly for perspective. Same with the Huion. Would you be really upset if someone did this for their thumbnails? I think that's an open question. I think some of you will say, unethical, bad, AI is bad here. I think some of you will say like, well, this seems okay. I mean, it's not pretending to be someone else's art. It's not trying to like replace a human creativity. It's doing it's a drudgery task, right? Which is just creating kind of like very generic images because they're supposed to be very generic images. Okay? So tell me what you think. Maybe I'll actually do a video showing how I created this and ask people what the question is. Okay, I think I'm going to end the stream soon, but before I do, let's just make sure we're done with Claude. Claude has been working at this for a while. I want to make sure that Ivan can get his data. Okay. Yes. Start dev server. This means I can see the edits or see the live app running on this machine before I push it to GitHub pages. Okay, let's take a look. Let me click on here. And here we go. Let's take a look at brands. Apple. Pens. It doesn't show tablets, so that's a bug. What about tablets here? I search by brand. Oops. There's some things that are messed up. Maybe there's a delay in loading things. Things are messed up. I'm not seeing. Okay, yeah, this happens. Sometimes you have to fix things like this. Let's click on these entities. Yeah, things aren't working. Things are just not working. Things are not working. The tablet view shows no tablets. Clicking on this thing shows 404. Okay, so it's got to solve this problem. So I've got to find a way that it can, run a test of itself, so that it doesn't always have to ask me to check basic stuff like. Yeah, things all just messed up right now. It could be a deployment issue. It could be a data issue. It's trying to figure it out. It looks like it's a Git issue, not a GitHub issue. Okay, I see. It did not download all the data it needed to set this up. That's why it was running weirdly. Okay, let's go back. Take a look. Okay, it's there. Here's all the Apple stuff. It's there. And Asus, restrict to Apple, standalone. Let's compare sizes through the years. I think I can show. Do we have Apple here? We don't have Apple in the tablet families, so we should add that. Let's tell it that Apple is not in the tablet families. Apple missing from tablet family. Drop down. maps real quick. Okay. Yes, fix everything. It's just noticing as I add more tablets, it notices that there's some inconsistencies. I mean, it works, but it noticed that adding one revealed the inconsistencies. So it's just fixing these things. I've got to find a better way a more repeatable way for it to examine what it's doing, because we go over the same things over and over. Let's see. Kanina says, I'm annoyed because Affinity is not saving my PDF with transparency like it should. File format exports and imports are one of the greatest sources of human frustration. I know the feeling well. I'm trying to recall now. In my recollection, Affinity has its own way of dealing with a document that is supposed to have a transparent background. I always have to look it up every time I use Affinity. Okay, let's see. Is it done? I can't even tell. Okay, I think it's done. Tablet families. It does not show Apple, so it's not done. Okay, I don't see it. Let me try a hard restart. I still don't see it there. Let's just take tablet models. Brand is there. Yeah. Pens. Apple is there. Drivers. Yeah, that's correct. In tablet families, I still don't see Apple in the dropdown. Yeah, there's still that is not working. Looks good, except tab families drop down, still not listing Apple. Kinina says, I often resort to exporting EPS because it works. PDFs have history of not getting along. Interesting. Sometimes these older formats are the only thing that saves us. And it's a little sad because you realize how much time has been invested on PDFs, etc. It actually reminds me of a really interesting thing. If I recall correctly, there's a really interesting link between Java, the programming language, and PDFs. I'll try. Let me see if I can just remember this. PDF. Okay, let me back up here. Let me start with the basic thing. Kinina, do you know what PostScript is? Are you familiar with it? You're using EPS, so I assume so, but I just want to make sure that we're on the same page before I continue. So the story as I understand it, and I won't get into the Java part. So PostScript it's not like rectangle rectangle and coordinates and circle coordinates. It's not like that. It's actually like a programming language. it actually it can tell a printer what to do. It has loops. It can say draw 10 rectangles in a circle and rotate them. Like in other words, it's a language that is run, okay? And PostScript, that's PostScript. PDF is like PostScript without that part. It's just like the static PostScript. The part that's just rectangle is here, rectangle is here. There's no like a language part that tells you like instructions. I think that's the summary of the two. But the link I was talking about is this idea of sending commands to a device to print. There was an idea called display PostScript, which was a way of sending to a monitor, or not a computer, show this on your screen. And it would use the same PostScript that was going to your printer, right? And I think that it didn't, again, the PostScript didn't just send here's a rectangle, here's text. But it actually said, like, draw these things. So it was sending commands, code. And there is some link, I think, between PostScript in that sense and Java. I think some people worked on the same project, or their work influenced it. I'd have to double check on this. Because that would be an interesting little bit of archaeology to think about. Where is that dev server? It's here. Okay, let's open it up. Okay. Tablet families. Apple. Okay, I see it now. Okay, it's working. It's working. Let's just do a comparison. Let's add a tablet. Let's add we'll add a Gen 1 12.9 and let me just type in 12.9. And then we'll scroll down to Gen 6. We'll add that and we'll compare the two. Okay? So does this actually reveal an interesting comparison? It does. This is super interesting. This is actually super interesting. So we got, we just let Claude figure all of this out. This is great. Compare sizes, they're almost the exact same size. Okay, so I'm gonna say this is actually working now. Okay, so let me just tell Claude, commit and push. Update, actually before I do that, there's another question, there's another thing I tell AI, which is like, what did you learn as we added these Apple iPads that would make future editions more reliable, easier. The return cola addiction. I'm gonna be ending the stream soon, cola addiction, but glad to see you back with your crazy ass questions. I like to ask AI these self-reflective questions because it improves the process. We did something, let's think about what happened, let's make the process better, right? I felt like I shouldn't have had all these problems with these drop downs, for example. Let's see what it says. Yeah, it's learning about adding a new brand was a little more complicated than it thought. Yes. Oops, sorry. Yes, and please document the sim link step. That has tripped me up a couple of times, so. So another thing is like there are docs that describe what the project does. Okay. Now remember, this project edits itself, meaning actually let me back that up. There's docs and then there's the data. Okay, and then there's the code. With the docs, sometimes the process gets so repeated, we start saying, hey, of the docs we have, which ones of these things can be transformed into code, right? That saves AI processing cycles, or whatever you want to call it, tokens, and context window. And it also means that, remember, the AI is good with code, so it can debug its code. So it's always essentially improving its own code. Not the code of the server, its own way of dealing with updating the data and things, right? The code about the code. So that's the next question I'm going to ask it. Of the documents, which things can be scripted? And also, I don't know what this MJS thing is. That's a weird format I've never heard. Using Claude for maintaining this database has turned a hated task into something that's like, pretty easy to deal with. It's actually kind of fun to have, because Claude's doing all the work. I'm just like thinking about things. It's too late for that cola addiction. Too late. Way too late. Stripping iPad specific bits, leaving structure with clarity. That's why I like running this thing on multiple machines, because each is set up a little differently, different OSs, and then each time you do it in a different environment, you learn how to be more robust to that environment, to all environments. Well, I can't argue with that, but so does almost every economic activity. Cola addiction. Okay, and another question I ask it, so what elements of the docs should be scripted for better reliability? Why is Windows 11 so hated? I used Windows a bit in the past. Well, I think it's, what I see is that some people don't like the advertising in Windows 11, if you want to call it advertising. That's a fair point. Number two, William 11. Windows 11 is, it's very naggy. It's always nagging you. Like, it tells you things like every 3 days, it's like, oh, you have to back up you have to set up your backups and use OneDrive for document. Like, nope, never going to do that. I do think some people think that its performance, game performance is not as good. I think 10 was fine. I didn't have any complaint. I didn't feel a lot of excitement for 10. I didn't feel any excitement for 11. Windows 7 was where the excitement was. Right. Let's see. I agree with Cola. I came for Tablet Talk and still not sure what this is all about. We are just working on a tablet database using AI. I'm going to put it in chat so that I'm not being mysterious with you all about this tablet database. It's a way of, so you want to do research like comparing tablets and understanding how big they are and the different specs, etc., etc. Where is it? It's called the DrawTab Data Explorer. I know, clever name, right? So let's put that in the chat. I use an M3 MacBook Pro, 18 gigs of RAM, 1 terabyte SSD. I got an M3 MacBook Pro mine's M4. I think it's M4. No, it's M3. It's M3, and I think I just got more RAM with it because I felt like I would need it for doing dev work. So I got 48. Is that right? No, more like I think it was like 36 gigabytes of RAM. I don't know why I ended up with 36. RAM is really expensive on Macs. So it identified 3 different things that should get fixed. So I'm just gonna say implement them all. Implement them all. Let's see. First, implement them all. Everyone, don't airport this guy. He uses AI and tries to cover it up. What does that mean? Airport. I've never heard of that expression. Don't airport. How can you use airport as a verb? Oh, support. Well, first of all, I think it's important. We don't use Gen AI here, not for creating art. We use AI to automate. We use AI to remove drudgery work. We use AI to write code. But art? No, we would not use that. That's not our world. Kinina says, I'm planning to dump Windows on my gaming PC and try CachyOS, but I will attempt it on an old laptop before I fully commit. I've not been enjoying Windows 11 at all. Hi, Lumiart. Good to see you. Yeah, I think that's a good idea. I feel very similar. I'm going to try CachyOS again. I mean, something exciting about CachyOS, partly because it just feels so raw and primitive. Windows 11, what value is it adding to me? They added a bunch of Copilot features, which are just, they're bad. They're not good. I'm not going to turn on recall, right? I really like my Huion Inspiroi H11611. I was initially put off by needing to look up at M3, but I'm shocked how quickly I took to it. Yeah, H1161 and HS1161, which is I think the newer version, those are surprisingly nice tablets. I mean, they're of their era, so the pens are just kind of okay. Okay means like a Samsung S Pen, but they're actually fine tablets, right? They're actually totally fine tablets. Okay, it's cooking off on some code. We don't need to worry about that code because it's all like internal code. Let's go back to Reddit and just take care of some questions to see how people are struggling. So this person, did I answer them? I don't know if I did. I never answered them. I talked for so long and I did not actually tell them what they needed to know. Okay, this person's just looking for a tablet. My standard answer for people like this is take a look at the recommendations, not the recommendations, the buying guide. The buying guide really does cover everything. I'll say, this buying guide should answer all your questions. Buying guide should address all your questions. Join the Discord if you have more questions. Is it immoral? Some amounts of AI are immoral. That's fair to say. That is fair to say. Let me find the Discord link. And I'll paste it in chat. I know some of you are not there. Oops. Let me go back for a second. Copy it. But just in case, there's the Discord link. I'll reply to this person. Now let's go back to, oh, we need to talk about Brad's video. Yeah, that's good. He has a video about a relatively new tablet, and we're going to see what he says about it. Let me turn off the music because it can be kind of distracting when we're playing audio. Let me find my audio levels here. Testing one. That's my voice. System audio is unmuted. I find this atrocious.
This is a drawing tablet, and it's green. It does come in several different colors, but I don't see green very often, and so I thought, I'm getting that one.
Two things. This is the XP Pen Deco 01 V3, which is a tablet that was released recently, but we have to talk about what recently means, okay? It means that it appeared as a SKU, stock keeping unit, in stores. The question is it really new, okay?
And now, today, here, right now, I'm going to review it. This is Brad. He likes to review the tech. He also likes to draw. And this here is his theme song. Now, this is not the cheapest drawing tablet out there, but it is the cheapest one that gets my Brad seal of quality. That's not really a thing, is it? It could be a thing. Let's make it a thing. The reason I recommend this tablet is because of its size. And to understand that, we first need to talk about how these tablets work. First up, you need a laptop. Windows, Mac, Chromebook, doesn't matter. Works on any of those. You plug it in using the included USB Type-C cord. You install some software to get it up and running. And whenever you draw here on the tablet itself with the included pen, lines show up on your computer screen in your drawing program in front of you. And the pen is cool because it doesn't just leave a boring line, but it can sense how hard you are pressing in on the pen. So if you press really lightly, you get a light line. If you press harder, you get a deeper line, a thicker line. More ink is coming out of your pen, just like using a real pencil or a real fountain pen. So I review a ton of these, and I'll link this one down below in the description. And also, it's worth noting, I rank all of the things that I review over on my website, so if you want to get an idea of what else is out there, the pros and cons, it's a good place to check it out. The size, right, I was talking about the size, because I like this size. Some of the cheaper XP Pen tablets out there can do the same thing, but the space that you draw in is a bit smaller. Now, since this drawing area matches up with the size of your screen, the smaller the area you have to draw in, the harder it is to like really get in there and do those little details. The larger the drawing area that you're working with, the easier it is to get in there and draw those little details.
So one thing I noticed about this review video, which I like, is his audience. He seems very clear that he's targeting the first-time tablet user, maybe they've never bought a tablet before, or they're just not really used to tablets. So he's explaining things that probably I would not normally explain because he's assuming his viewers may not know. So that's great. The second thing, I'm really happy he talked about, this does not have a screen. So he emphasized the point that the strokes will appear on your screen, not on the tablet. Not everyone understands that. They're not quite clear on that. So that's good he explained that. And he mentioned how important the size is and how, like, if you're drawing in a small size, those can be cheaper, but it'll be hard to draw with. So I'm glad he did that.
And I think this XP Pen Deco drawing tablets area, which is 10 inches by 6.25 inches, is not super big, but it's big enough. And for me, going smaller.
Okay, so roughly speaking, I think that's all correct. It's not too big, but it's big enough. We'll take a look statistically and see how big it is compared to other tablets. And we'll compare it to other tablets we know.
That feels just really cramped. It's hard to use, especially when I'm trying to do things like use my pen to change my brush size, the little slider, or clicking on little icons in the layer palette. Those are teeny tiny. This size tablet hits that middle ground really well. And because of the decent price and quality, I can see a lot of folks looking to jump into digital art for the very first time. They may look at this and say, this is the good buy. But I want to throw some cold water on that. Not the idea of taking up art. I think that's a great idea. I mean, a lot of people have thought, man, it would be fun to go out and take a nice art class. Actually, I have some of those up on my website. My Learn to Draw in 60 Days course. New lesson every day. Move at your own pace. We get you in there drawing from day one. I also have...
Has anyone tried Brad's Art School? I wonder if anyone has.
My
I've always
intro
been
to
curious about it.
digital art class. So if you're already used to drawing a little bit but want to learn more about some of the brushes and techniques I use, check that one out too. But drawing is super fun. You should totally do that. The thing I want to throw wet water on is getting a tablet like this. There are trade-offs here. The learning curve on a tablet like this compared to getting an entry-level iPad or Android tablet or a drawing tablet with a screen, it's a lot steeper to learn here. On one of those other tablets, since you're drawing directly on the screen, you can see where your pencil is leaving a line as you move it around. This is the way we all learn to draw, on paper. Here, because you're drawing in one place and your line shows up in front of you on your screen, oh man, that could be hard to learn. And I think for a lot of beginners, that could be really discouraging. And I'm talking from experience because the very first drawing tablet I got was a Wacom tablet years and years ago, very similar to this. And when I started using it, I thought, oh, why can't I draw with this? It takes a lot of practice. And that's why I tend not to recommend tablets like this to, say, parents who are shopping for their kids who are...
Okay, so there's something interesting there. And I want to just add a few pieces. Number one, here's what I actually think. If you took 100 people and you gave them a tablet like this, 80% of them would immediately understand conceptually what's happening. Like you wouldn't need to explain to them, right? They'd be like, just take the stylus and start drawing, and they'd get it. They'd get it. This moves the pointer on the screen, and they would be able, they intuitively would understand it. You wouldn't even need to say what to do. They might ask you how you right click, left click, but they'll understand. The basics of pressing down means pressure. They'll get it. The remaining 20%, 10% of those, let me put my face up here. 10% of those people, or we were dealing with 20%. So now we'll take a piece of them, 10%. Those people, it will be weird for them, and they'll tell you things like, I just can't adjust to looking here, moving my hand, even though that's exactly how mice work, right? They're looking here, but their hand is down here. But for some reason, their brain just has a harder time dealing with this. But within a week or two, that 10% will adjust pretty easily, okay? The remaining 10% either take longer or they can't do it. And Brad actually says this. He's like, he has just never, he doesn't like using pen tablets, right? He just feels like it doesn't work for him. I don't think I'm exaggerating. I think he's said something to that effect. I mean, obviously he knows how to use them. But for him, using a pen display is really where he's at. I think he prefers 16-inch pen displays. And so I'm giving you my three options. I think people fall into these three categories. Most people just adapt to it immediately. 10% take a week or two. Another 10%, never going to happen. No matter how much time they spend, it'll never work for them. Now, there's one more data point you need to understand. He said something just a second ago, which we have to pay attention to, because let's see if we can get him to say it again.
A lot of beginners, that could be really...
Oops, let's get my video here so you're not confused what I'm doing.
Discouraging. And I'm talking from experience because the very first drawing tablet I got was a Wacom tablet years and years ago, very similar to this. And when I started using it, I thought, oh, why can't I draw with this? It takes a lot of practice.
Why can't I draw with this? So let's take that statement. Why can't I draw with this? And you'll see this statistically affects this feeling that something is wrong, that you know how to draw, but you can't use the pen tablet. It's very prevalent because statistically something is happening making that happen. And it has nothing to do, the separation between screen and hand is one thing. I'm not talking about that. There's another factor involved. And here's what you hear people say. It doesn't feel right. It feels weird. I can't draw a straight line. It just feels off. They are all 99% of the time, they cannot tell you what the issue is. Okay? And I don't blame them, because nothing in your human experience prepares you. It just reminded me of a horror movie where someone's transported into like the mirror, the evil mirror dimension. I was just like, I'm so dramatic when I say this. Nothing can prepare you for the evil you're witnessing, right? Like your psyche is shocked. And that is what's happening here. There's something your human experience has never prepared you for, which is happening with the pen tablet, statistically. And you've got to, so people don't know how to describe it because they have no frame of reference in which this would make any sense. Okay? And because they don't have, it's not in their head, this concept or something related to it, they don't have the words to express the problem other than it feels weird, it feels wrong. I can't draw a straight line. So they're stuck explaining the problem, right? Let's see. LumiArt. But when you get used to it, it can be so much better with the screen. The hand is constantly in the way. Yes, that's true. That's actually a true advantage of pen tablets. Every time I switch to a pen display, I'm like, gosh darn it, my hand's in the way again. I'm like, moving my head around, getting my hand out of the way. So, what is it I'm talking about? What is it I'm talking about? It has to deal with the aspect. See, no one thinks about this because you wouldn't never assume it is happening. Tablets have an active area that has a specific aspect ratio, and the monitor you're using has its own aspect ratio. Monitors typically are 16 by 9, or some are 16 by 10, some are even weirder shapes. I'll prove this to you. Most pen tablets are not 16 by 9. And with laptops, the screens are very often not 16 by 9 or 16 by 10. Now, this doesn't seem like an issue of any consequence, but what by default happens for every tablet, even though I haven't asked them to change this, but they just steadfastly refuse to change this. They map their full active area to your monitor, which seems good. I'm using the full active area, but that creates a distortion. Okay? Whenever there's a mismatch, and the probability of mismatch is like 90%, you will draw a circle on your tablet physically. It will come out as an oval on the screen. Okay? And no one has the language to say this. Why? Nothing you do as a human with a piece of paper and pen has this effect. Pens don't have this kind of distortion on paper. It's impossible. It only happens because you have these two digital devices with two different aspect ratios. Okay? So, a lot of people, how does this tie to what Brad's saying? A lot of people try a pen tablet. They don't know about this issue. They don't know you can fix it in the driver. It's called force proportions or screen ratio. They use their pen tablet. It feels bad. It feels weird. They decide they hate pen tablets, and they try a pen display, which does not have this issue by definition. That's right, LumiArt. They stretch them by default. It is nuts. It is a huge dissatisfaction. And yet, every driver from every brand is like, yep, we're just going to make sure you have distorted strokes. And you're going to have to figure out you don't like it, and figure out you have to change this weirdly named setting called force proportions in Wacom and screen ratio in Huion and other brands. Okay, it's crazy. Let's see. Kinina says, I find that when inking, I like a display to draw on, but painting, I like a pen tablet just fine. Even with an Intuos, I like a mouse for, I use a mouse for vector, yeah. It is more accurate because pens, it's hard to hover with the pen, so you can't keep that's very difficult with vector stuff. And you don't need the free-flowing pressure sensitivity stuff. So what I'm trying to drill in here is, this is a topic that is complicated to explain, these mixed aspect ratios. And maybe Brad's going to talk about it, but that's a thing that often is the reason why people don't like pen tablets. because they don't know about the setting or this problem. And manufacturers seem hell-bent on making sure no one experiences the right behavior. Why do they do this? I think it's because, by definition, if they turn on forced proportions, your active area technically shrinks, but I think that's worth it. It's a bad idea to give them this behavior. I also work in wireframe view a lot. Yeah. I do that sometimes, but it's not very often. Anyway, I just want to point this out. I rant about this topic all the time, but it is something that I think Brad, maybe he'll talk about it, but it's something I think we need more people to talk about. And I tell you, I'll send the email again to Huion. I've never mentioned this topic specifically, but I'll say, hey, look, I'd really appreciate if you did this, because most people, it's just a bad idea, right? It just creates frustration. Okay, let's continue with his review.
And that's why I tend not to recommend tablets like this to, say, parents who are shopping for their kids who are really into art and want to get into drawing on a computer. But at the same time, a basic screen tablet is going to cost you 4, 5, maybe 6 times as much.
Now, a basic screen tablet will cost you $250 for a 13-inch. Well, you get to that 400, 500 when you get to 16 inches. So it is not quite as dire a picture as 400 all the time. It can be 250, okay? And sometimes on sale even less, even 200 sometimes.
So if you're willing to go through the learning curve, then yes, this is a great place to start. And it's worth noting a lot of pro artists use tablets just like this. Some of the best artists in the world swear by tablets like this. The advice.
And that's another good point. Lots of people think pen displays, tablets with screens, they're the pro version of tablets. Not true at all. Not true at all. You should never think of tablets with screens as in any way inherently more professional. It has nothing to do with whether it's a pro tablet or not.
Advice I got from one of my friends who uses a tablet like this exclusively is to unplug your mouse. Use this as your mouse, as the way you navigate around your computer for an entire week.
Well, let's see. When I started out drawing as a kid, I had 16 by 10 tablet. I wonder how much that lucky match can... Yeah, sometimes people luck out. They don't even know they've lucked out. So that's good for you. It took me 20 years to notice it. Remember, I've had every Wacom tablet like ever. And I remember I would get new versions of them and I'd be like, this feels weird. And I contributed sometimes size differences or something. But I remembered that feeling man, this does not feel right. And sometimes I went back to the old Wacom tablet. And then after 20 years of this, I looked at the settings and I thought, what does this setting do? Force proportions. I clicked it and I'm like, oh my God, this is the problem I experienced. I have a video on distorted drawing, which you should see the comments. People are like, I always felt something was wrong. And now it fixed it. I turned on the setting. The problem magically went away. And people cannot believe they suffered for a decade. For me, it was 2 decades. So I try to reiterate this topic a lot because people are suffering from it. And tablet manufacturers are like, nope, you gotta, I think I need another video on this topic.
Really force yourself not just to draw on it, but to become a power user with the tablet. And over the course of that week, you're just gonna get more and more familiar with it, and drawing is gonna become a lot easier. So with that out of the way, let's talk some specs. This is a battery-free stylus with a whopping 16,000 levels of pressure sensitivity.
Remember, you don't need 16,000 levels of pressure. You need how many? 2,000. So never pick a tablet and think there's a difference between 8,000 and 16,000. It makes no difference whatsoever.
Do you need that much? Heavens no, but it's here. This pen also has 60 degrees of tilt, so if you have a drawing program and a brush that lets you draw with the side of your pen, maybe pencil shading or something like that, you can do that here. I found the pen to be nice and responsive. Now, one of the things that XP Pen does well is light presses. It activates with just a tiny amount of...
Okay, this is where now I will have more to say in a second, but you can see the alarm bell is going off. We'll talk about this.
Pressure when the pen hits the tablet. It's also worth noting that this pen handles pressure really well. It doesn't blow out anywhere on the pressure curve or do anything funky or weird. True. There is some digital line wave here that's happening on slow angled lines. That's kind of what I've come to expect with XP.
One more thing. Diagonal wobble is not because of the pen, it's the tablet. Okay, the pen has no role in the wobble. It's all the tablet sensing a pen's position.
Pens products. It's one of those things that you can get rid of if you have some software that has like a stroke straightener in. That's only really if it's affecting what you're drawing. Oftentimes with these tests, I detect the wobble, I detect the wave in the line, but if you're not seeing it in your day-to-day drawing, it's not something you should worry about. Here, it's pretty slight. Now, since this is a more inexpensive tablet, it doesn't have all the features and amenities that maybe some of the other tablets in this category have. For example, this isn't a wireless tablet. It's definitely going to have to be wired in at all times. There's no Bluetooth, there's no dongle, there's no features like that. This works on Windows, it works on Macs, it works on Linux, it works on Chrome OS, it works even on Android phones and tablets. It's actually a pretty nice Android experience. So if you're looking for a tablet that you want to use to draw on your phone, this is a pretty good one. Now, a lot of those Android apps are designed to be used with touch, but it's not a big deal. You draw with your hand on the tablet, and then every so often you may have to go over to your phone and like pinch and zoom and move in and out and that sort of thing. Maybe use 2 fingers to undo, but it works pretty well. We also have some buttons along the side of this. These are called Express keys, and they are totally customizable, at least if you're on Mac or Windows, not so much on Android and Chrome. The software that you install to get these tablets up and running lets you change those keys to different things. You may set one of those buttons up so it will be like your undo button. You may set another one up to be your eraser, another one to be your brush, so you can kind of toggle between those things easily. Maybe another one makes your brush bigger, another one makes your brush smaller. These are customizable, and you can set them up to do whatever makes you comfortable when you're drawing. Now, I mentioned the drawing area here is 10 inches by 6.25 inches. The tablet itself is bigger. It's a little bit taller than like a standard 8.5 by 11 piece of paper. So we've got 14 inches by 8.8 inches wide, and it weighs a little over a pound. So it's pretty portable and easy to just slide into any laptop bag with you. In the box, we also have this little squarish thing. This is for resting your pen on. It's just a basic pen holder. Now, I like a nice scratchy surface on my tablet, similar to what you might find on like the Intuos Pro that Wacom puts out. This doesn't have a super scratchy feel to it. It's a little bit smooth. It's okay, it's fine to draw on, but it's just not that scratchy surface that you find on some of these tablets. Now, XP Pen must have known this because they've included like a scratchier surface in the box. This thing just gets placed directly on the screen, and there's this little tab along the top that's kind of sticky, and so it kind of adheres to place. It's a little bit strange. Like, why would they only put the sticky stuff on the top? Why not the top and the bottom? I don't know. I've never seen anything quite like this, and it flaps around. It's not the best implementation, but if you are looking for that scratchy surface, they do provide something here. Another thing that's going to wear out over time are your pen nibs. Those are the little plastic pen tips that come at the top of the pen. This is going to happen to you a lot, especially if you draw hard. Now, this comes with 8 replacement nibs. That's enough for me. It'll last, I don't know, about 4 years. I go through 2 nibs a year. I'm not a super hard presser of the penner type guy. You can buy more nibs. They sell these things all over the place. They are super cheap. And I have seen some people say that they blow through these nibs really quickly every few weeks. So your mileage may vary. So overall, the pros: good price, good pen, big enough live drawing area. The cons: there's some line wobble here in certain circumstances with the pen, and it lacks some of the amenities of its pricier brothers and sisters, like Bluetooth and better ways of storing the pen when you're traveling with it. But I think those are pretty good trade-offs when we're talking about the price here. And that is what makes this the cheapest pen display that I recommend. What do you think? Let me know down below in the comments. Thank you for watching the video. And I'll flaps are cheap. And I have seen some people say
at the end he said the cheapest pen display I'd recommend. He actually meant the cheapest pen tablet I'd recommend. Okay, let's talk about the tablet, because I actually have investigated this tablet. And let's take a look at my drawing tablet database. Before I do that, let me just make sure Claude is... Okay, good. There we go. It's on its way. Cola is back. I don't know if I'd call it sad Cola. Okay, so this was the Deco 01V3. So the first thing you need to understand is that there are several of these tablets. There's the 01 V2 and the 01V3. Okay, so let's go ahead and just flag 2 of them, and let's just compare. Okay, one was made in 2020, one was made in 2024. Localhost is... I think Bluetooth, LumiArt, I think Bluetooth introduces a little bit of lag. Most people may not even notice, but if you're very sensitive to lag, then you might notice. But try it out. It's absolutely fine for drawing. There's nothing wrong with it. It's just, if you're sensitive to lag, theoretically you might notice it. Okay? But often I've drawn with Bluetooth and I don't. The only other negative of Bluetooth is like a phone might interfere with it, right? But try it out. You might be surprised how much you like it. I don't want to put anyone off Bluetooth for a drawing tablet. Sometimes it's just so much cleaner to do it. Okay, I did flag them. Okay, so I flagged them. Let's compare. I just want to show you. Let's compare the specs. Oops. I have too many things flagged. I want to uncompare Apple here. Okay, so yellows were the differences. So is there any difference? Well, these are all like the names and version numbers and dates. But really the specs, what's changed is the number of pressure levels, which doesn't matter. And the report rate says it's a little bit higher, negligible. Nothing else has changed. Okay, and they use the same pen. Okay, does it say it here? It doesn't say it here, but they do use the same pen. Yeah, included pen, yeah. P05, the XP Pen P05 pen. Okay, that'll come back to us later. Sizes, same exact size. Okay, now Brad said it's actually it's a medium-sized tablet. Surprisingly, let's change what we're going to compare here. Let's add a tablet. We'll do the latest. We'll do the Frago medium, and we'll do the PTK. This is the latest Intuos Pro 6.7 PTK. Sorry. This is why this tool is useful. Luminar, I'm someone who always uses controller plugged in and uses wired earbuds. I get it. I used to be that way, but I've gone to wireless earbuds, and I still plug in my tablets. It's only if there's like a mess of cables that I need to just reduce the problem for a while. I'll use Bluetooth for tablets. Yeah, it can be really good. You might not even notice it, honestly. Definitely try it. Okay, let's compare the sizes. So what you see is, what do you see here, right? The Frago, let me do this side by side. So the Deco V3 is a little bit bigger than the Frago, and it's a little bit bigger than the Intuos Pro. So that's great. It's a great size, right? Okay. And now the other thing is, let's go back to the tablet. Let's open up a new window and do what I call force proportions loss. This is actually important. You need to take it. This tablet is 16 by 10, okay? Which means that if you use it with a 16 by 9 monitor, you have to use force proportions, what they call screen ratio. You're gonna be losing about 10% of that active area. So it's not much, but be aware you're not really getting the full size, okay? You're really getting a smaller size. That's fine. It's just a slightly bit smaller, that's all. But the thing we have to talk about is the pen. The pen I'm not happy with the pen, okay? Now I took extensive notes on the pen. Let's talk about P05 pen. Now, the maximum pressure is just okay. I found it ranged between 200 gram force to 300. So I have two different several models up here, right? You won't see the return of Cola here until next stream. So this is my goodbye. Okay, Cola, thanks for dropping by. So you can see my measurements. They don't go very high. They go starting at 200 to 2. So this is an okay place to be. Not a great place to be, but okay. Consumer pen. The IAF is the issue. Actually, it's not terrible. But I found it to be like 6 grams to 8 gram force, which is pretty high, right? The X3 Elite does a better job. The X3 Pro does a better job. So I think it's about the same as like a Samsung S Pen, really in practice, or a Wacom CP913. So it's not a great pen. It's okay. This is actually an okay tablet. But you might notice that IAF is a little bit high. So I just wanted people to know about that. So I do think this recommendation's good, but probably can find a pen that's better. The Frago has a PW550, which is better. The Wacom, obviously, right? This is a bit high, but it's not an expensive tablet too, right? So I think the Deco MW or M or LW or M are better choices, honestly, because the pen is better. The pen is better. And let's compare that for you so that you can believe me. Let's go here. Let's go to compare. Turn these off and find the Deco. We'll do the LW or L since it's not, this other one's not wireless either. And let's go and take a look at the comparison. So you can see here, it uses, let me try to find the pen. Where is it? It uses a different pen, though I can't see the pen listed very clearly here. Included pen, here it is, X3 Elite. Okay, so let's compare the two pens, P05 versus X3 Elite. This is going to be interesting. For this, I need to go to a different tool, though. Let's go to Tools and Data and Pen Pressure Data. I haven't coalesced all the tools together. Let's find those two models. They're both from XP Pen. P05. I have 4 of those pens, so I've tested multiple pens, not just one. And I've tested them multiple times. And I want the X3 Elite. Okay, so 5 of those pens measured 7 times. Let's compare them. So let's do the family. It's kind of difficult to see this way. Let's go to envelope. And yeah, so blue is the P05, red is the X3 Elite. You can see right now that the X3 Elite ends up with a higher maximum pressure. So it is a bit better. It's actually in the good category, not just the okay category. It's also, they're sort of more consistent. You can clearly see that with the envelope here. And this is why I actually recommend the Deco L or LW, which should be around the same cost, okay? So I just wanted to share that. I think that is probably a better choice because of the pen. But other than that, this is a fine tablet, right? It's a fine tablet. Okay, I think I'm running out of energy, so I'm going to call it a stream. Everyone who's on, we have 12 people on. I want to thank you for your time. I've streamed a lot this week. Already I've been, 10 hours yesterday and 3.5 hours today. So I put in a good time streaming. I'm going to get back to doing some art, doing some vibe coding, working on my tools, and writing some more documents and preparing for more videos. So everyone, thanks for joining. This was a fun session. And I'll probably I might stream on the weekend again. Okay? Everyone, have a great day. I'll see you all soon.